Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
At least 11 people have been killed and many are fighting for their lives after missiles rained down on cities across Ukraine. The nation's capital, Kiev, was targeted during peak hour, with civilian sites and key infrastructure hit. Vladimir Putin says the attacks are in retaliation for an explosion on the Crimean bridge. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country is dealing with terrorists.
We're dealing with terrorists, dozens of rockets, Iranian Shahid drones hitting the energy facilities all over the country. Ukraine existed before this enemy, and Ukraine will exist after this enemy. Glory to Ukraine.
A group of cars have been vandalised while parked in the city. It happened overnight near the Torrens on the western side of the Morford Street Bridge. 7 vehicles were targeted. Number plates and mirrors had been ripped off and windscreen wipers broken. Some cars also had dents and scratches. Well, this month's federal budget will take into account the headwinds being faced by the global economy. Treasurer Jim Chalmers will head to the US today for a series of high-level meetings. He'll hold talks with the bosses of the Federal Reserve, World Bank and International Monetary Fund. The state government will use today's national water meeting to press for the Murray-Darling Basin Plan to be delivered in full and on time. Deputy Premier and Water Minister Susan Close will meet with her state and territory counterparts in Canberra. She's calling for the 450 gigalitres promised to SA, but not yet delivered. John Farnham's sons say he's on the long road to recovery following his life-saving surgery. They've thanked Australians for their support on A Current Affair last night. The 73-year-old had a cancerous growth removed from his mouth back in August. Robert and James say when they saw him after surgery, they knew he was going to pull through.
He's definitely got the fight, for sure. Like when we first went in and saw him and he couldn't actually talk. But we're like, Dad, like you're going to push through, you're going to fight, and he just kept going like that.
Yeah, he kept sticking his fist in the air.
He kept sticking his fist in the air going, yeah, and I'm like, all right, cool, so you've got it in you.
Disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein is back on trial over allegations of rape and sexual assault, this time in Los Angeles. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley is at the courthouse.
Harvey Weinstein was extradited to Los Angeles to face 11 allegations from 5 different women spanning 9 years, including an Oscars week prosecutors say was pivotal. The 70-year-old has already been tried and convicted and sentenced to 23 years jail over different allegations in New York. The investigation that led to those charges was one of the biggest triggers of the Me Too movement. Harvey Weinstein has pleaded not guilty, but if convicted here in California, he could face life in prison.
Now to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
And a very good morning to you, Mel. Let's start with footy, and Jason Horne-Francis will speak this morning after joining Port Adelaide in a massive trade deal. Junior Rioli has also joined Alberton in the 4-team mega trade, the Power handing over its first-round pick for this year and next year. Meantime, the Crows finally landed Isaac Rankin. The small forward joins Adelaide on a 3-year deal. Crows head of footy Adam Kelly says it's a terrific outcome.
We know that with his attributes, especially with his speed, his ground ball execution, his high footy IQ and his goal sense and ability to hit the scoreboard, he's going to bring some real excitement to our group, and I think in the years to come he's going to give our Crows fans a lot to cheer about at Adelaide Oval.
Elsewhere, Luke Jackson was traded to the Dockers, while Will Setterfield joined Essendon. In the AFLW, Port Adelaide has unveiled its first Pride Guernsey to recognise and celebrate diversity and inclusivity within the game. In the EPL, scores are currently tied at 1-1 between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. And Mel, how's this? Ahead of his lightweight title fight, boxer George Kambosos Jr. has been sleeping in his gym. The Aussie faces Devon Haney on Sunday in a rematch and says to get in the zone, he even sent his wife and kids overseas on a holiday. And that's the 5AA Sport.
That's his story anyway. Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 24 today, showers and 17 tomorrow. Thursday, showers increasing and 16. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program today, Hero of the Week before 7 o'clock today. Get nominating your heroes if there's any that you can think of. We're going to speak with a professor from Australian National University who's part of a plan to garden the moon. So I think this is a real test of your gardening love, David. A real challenge, a real clash of ideas. Not a spaceman, are a gardening man. Both are going to combine after 7 o'clock today. Phil Curry will join us. We'll talk federal politics with Phil, and a little bit later, Grace Tame on the program, who is releasing a book. And I know you spent a bit of time catching up with in the afternoon yesterday. David, good afternoon. Good morning to you.
Good afternoon to you. Well, you've already lost track of time.
I've worked too many times a day now. I don't know what time of day it is.
Yeah, well, this is it. You need.
It's good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, and it's a good night from him, and it's a good night from me. The old two Ronnies.
The two Ronnies, yeah.
Good night from me, and it's good night from him.
I've lost track. I don't know where we are.
You're going to have to manage that at some point.
My greetings.
Well, no, just what's going to happen next year when the footy season's on? You'll be doing brekkie radio, then you'll be doing a bit of football in the afternoon, then you go and read the news.
Something will have to give at some point.
You're going to get a lawn mowing round as well. Pull some beers in your spare time.
Beats getting a real job.
Gardening on the moon. Sounds like a song. Giant steps are what you take. See, South Australia is actually well placed to play a lead role in discussions around gardening on the moon. Because I actually think the best example of how to get beauty out of the toughest conditions in the world is the Arid Lands Botanic Garden just outside of Port Augusta. That is a stunning place. Like if you're into gardening, and also I would say, if you're into gardening, but like my mum historically, she's just sort of inherited that English cottagey thing. A lot of people up in the hills are obsessed with it. We've got the, all the cornflowers and the gypsophila and the wallflowers and, all of the hellebores in winter. Like that sort of real dense, flower-driven, cottagey way of gardening. The Cotswolds, that sort of style. We've got to embrace the natives. And there's some plants there. Like there's that mallee eucalypt called Cruziana that's actually used in flower arranging. The leaves they've got these amazing sort of elliptical leaves that are like little wax sort of ovoid discs that are just ping, 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 ping all the way along this stick. They need bugger all water, and they look insanely good.
I like the premise of your thought that if you can grow plants in Australia, you can grow them on the moon.
I suppose that there's a difference between some water and no water, though, isn't there?
There's water on the moon.
Is there?
Yeah, they discovered it in recent years.
Where is it?
At the poles. So,
like each end?
Yep. There's big craters full of liquid
ice. There's actually water. Really? Well, that passed me by.
Yeah. So I think that's why this is more hopeful than it might have otherwise been. So I'm no gardener, but they struggle to grow in the absence of water, and I can tell you that through experiment.
That's right. Years of research.
Yeah.
So all we need to do is get some 50mm polypipe all the way to those poles.
That's right. That's the trick.
Putting in the sprinkler system on the moon, that'd be hard. Imagine if you drop one of the little sprayers and you see it floating off. Slow motion.
You can control your sprinkler system from your phone on Earth. It's convenient these days too. The technology's finally caught up with that.
You can control it. I'm looking at my pool chlorinator at the moment.
There you go. It's remarkable what you can do from the comfort of your phone. 10 after 6, 8223 0000 is our number. If you'd like to jump into the conversation this morning, you can text us too on the Automasters text line. There's lots to talk about, and there's lots that we'll get into after 7 o'clock especially. We'll get you across the extraordinary interview last night with John Farnham's sons that gave some insight into his condition and the battles that lay ahead for him, albeit they're optimistic. And then the biggest story in the world at the moment is what has transpired in Ukraine over the last 24 hours. We yesterday came off the program talking about the fact that Vladimir Putin was very desperately upset that his 70th birthday had been interrupted and his favourite bridge had been blown up. He retaliated like a spoilt child. It was a toys out of the cot moment, except his toys are cruise missiles, and the targets were indiscriminate. We'll play you some of the audio from Ukraine after 7 this morning.
I stayed up last night watching some of the raw footage of these missiles. Just extraordinary. Have you seen the one where there's a guy walking across the bridge?
Yep, he's my Hero of the Week nomination, that guy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He's just sort of standing there, and this missile, it's only about 20 metres away from him.
There's one that blows up in Kyiv that looks like it's at the intersection of North Terrace and King William, or something like that. It's just CBD, downtown, traffic at a standstill, lands in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah.
On one corner there's the university, like the Adelaide University, but on another the opposing corner, there is a kids' playground, and I saw it's being used for great propaganda purposes by the Ukraine. Going, so what was the strategic imperative to strike this area? Was it people going to work? Was it kids on the playground, or was it the university?
Have you seen the footage of the people in the arcade when they're all walking along and suddenly there's this bang?
No, I haven't seen that.
But the thing that's remarkable is how normal so much of Kyiv still looks. And it was a beautiful sunny day too.
Looked magnificent.
Like it just looked so incongruous. Like, just suddenly these air raid sirens would sound out. But I was actually thinking about that yesterday afternoon. Like, about how mundane life is in Australia. Surely that would do your head in, living with air raid sirens. And what do you say to your children? What if you've got a parent who's in an aged care facility, and you need to get from one side of town to the other because they need some medicine or they need some food or something.
There'll be a lot of occasions you just can't.
It's just terrible what people do to each other, isn't it?
It's awful. We'll have more detail on that for you after 7 o'clock this morning. 12 after 6 news headlines coming up next.
Hi Calvin, it's Michael from Automasters here. I've just got your car on the hoist and I just wanted to show you.
Now you can see what we see.
The engine oil is very low. I'll just show you that now.
AutoCam.
This is your cabin filter. As you can see, a fair bit of dust and dirt.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
You can see the outside of the throttle body's nice and clean. The inside here.
See any issue firsthand. How good? Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
An average of 83 people die on Australian rail lines every year. Ask yourself, do I pay attention when I cross rail lines? The answer might surprise you. Stand back, look up, stay rail safe. A message from the Government of South Australia.
If you want a retaining wall that will last through searing summers, wet winters and everything in between, you must use concrete sleepers from Outback Sleepers.
Now, they're perfect for building a retaining wall or garden edging, and they come in a variety of patterns and colours.
Outback Sleepers are the strongest concrete sleepers on the market. They come with a 35-year product warranty. Once you put that in, it is there for a lifetime. And if your builder's not using Outback Sleepers, you need to be asking why not.
In the last 20 years, this SA company has made more than 3 million of them. And they'll last for generations because the company that makes them only makes concrete sleepers, nothing else.
If you want to get your hands on some, ask for the brand Outback Sleepers. Sold at over 60 local landscaping and hardware stockists. Look online at outbacksleepers.com.au.
Listen up. When we take control, we hold the key to ageing in our hands. Live Up is your new healthy ageing guide that can be accessed via phone, iPad or computer. Enjoy free expert advice, personalised support and community connections to help you age your way. Discover more at liveup.org.au. Live Up. Welcome to the upside of ageing.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. Interest rate rises have created a level of uncertainty with some buyers and sellers, but demand is still outweighing supply, with stock levels down by 10% compared with a year ago. It's critical you work with an agent who can deliver the facts and guide you to a successful sale. With a history spanning almost 40 years and a team of unrivaled experience, Toop and Toop knows what it takes to maximise your results in any selling conditions. Visit toop.com.au to find out more.
AutoCam.
So this is the air filter out of your car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
It's not actually the wheel bearing. What it is, the handbrake.
AutoCam. Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters.
Kate Collins and Brendan Raglas. The faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
16 after 6, news headlines on this Tuesday, the 11th of October. Vandals have targeted parked cars in the city overnight. More than half a dozen were damaged near the Torrens on the western side of the Morfett Street Bridge. Number plates were ripped off, mirrors missing, windscreen wipers broken, along with dents and scratches. Police are investigating. That's
just half-wits.
Technical. That's the absolute definition of a totally mindless criminal behaviour, isn't it?
Oh, it's so
annoying.
annoying.
You don't even. No one. These guys don't stand. Whoever did this doesn't stand to benefit from this.
No. You remember months ago I told you I had my car keys. I still haven't been able to get in and get it done because there's such a backlog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's at the end of October. But I only realised a couple of weeks ago when I got a text about it. I'm not going to have a car for a whole week. Like, it's just seriously annoying. Just total pain, and the excess was $800. The premiums have gone up.
It's just
$4,000 it's going to cost to fix it. $4,000.
My fear is talking about the scale of the inconvenience will encourage some people to do it because I think, well, that's good.
Oh no, I think we can talk about it because these people are so stupid they wouldn't listen to an informative radio show.
Good point. A wave of Russian missile attacks has killed at least 11 people in Ukraine and left residents without power and water. At least 75 missiles rained down on the nation's cities, including the capital, Kyiv, decimating busy roads, universities, parks and even children's playgrounds. The Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisation is holding rallies around Australia to condemn what they're describing as terrorist attacks. The Federation's co-chair, Stefan Romaniu, says he's had many friends and family witness the Kyiv strikes.
A friend of ours in Kyiv, who's from Sydney actually, saw the missiles just shoot past his building and ended up at the Shevchenkivsky Park. I know that people in Ternopil, in the western of Ukraine, and also in Lviv, have been without water and without power.
More on that after 7 o'clock today.
Some of the missiles were right near the Polish border, weren't they?
Yeah, Lviv, which is the westernmost major city. Really close. Yeah, but they struck places that had deliberately felt as though, and there were some commentators said this about Kyiv, had deliberately felt as though the war had passed them by. That things were really normal. You mentioned in Kyiv it looked normal, it looked untouched. There was a feeling amongst people living there, based on some of the reporting I've seen, that they were okay, they were in the clear now. And I think that was part of the psychological element of this. Putin wanted to make them feel like, no.
Terrify the whole country.
I could strike anywhere at any time. And it was a deliberate attack to terrorise and terrify people. The Australian dollar has plunged to its lowest level in 2.5 years. The local currency's dropped to below 63 US cents, the weakest cross rate since April 2020. Fears of global recession and an increase of COVID cases in China has prompted the drop.
I tell you what, you know the most depressing headline I've read in a while? See the story yesterday with all the energy companies saying that they think that power bills are going to go up next year by 35%.
Yes.
35%.
You would say that's outrageous, if not for what we're witnessing happen in real time in England right now. Like there's precedent playing out for that to take place.
Well, aren't we meant to be an energy self-sufficient country?
Well, let's tease that out. We have the raw resources. We have absolutely no plan for benefiting from having them here, beyond private entities having them.
So we can export them to other people, we just can't use them ourselves.
That seems to be the process.
Terrific.
New data reveals twice as many teaching graduates in Australia are failing a compulsory maths and English skills test compared with 6 years ago. Teachers have up to 5 chances to pass the controversial Lantite test, Lantite test. But 1,483 graduates last year did not have skills equivalent to Year 9 pupils and failed. After completing a 3-year teaching degree, 7% of graduates in 2021 failed the basic skills test, up from 5% in 2016. I can't get my head around how that's possible if you pass a uni degree. You've got to have...
Well, hang on. Do you have to pass both the maths and the English component?
Oh, that must be it then. Must be the
because I couldn't pass Year 9.
No chance in hell.
Maths.
No chance in hell.
I would argue that it doesn't necessarily matter, provided you're not going to be a maths teacher. Like, if you're going to teach English and history, who cares?
Yeah. If you're primarily talking about the Russian Revolution.
Or vice versa.
If
you're teaching kids, calculus, do you need to be able to write a 3,000-word essay about, what Emily Bronte's on about in Wuthering Heights?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you need to dig down on that before beyond the headline. This is incredible. Shocking footage has emerged of a young woman abusing staff at the Hindley Street McDonald's on Friday night. The woman hurls herself at the counter multiple times, yelling and throwing food at staff before spitting on the manager. SA Police have been made aware of the footage, but charges are yet to be laid. The Retail Workers Union Secretary, Josh Peake, says it is appalling behaviour.
It's disgusting, it's vile, and no worker deserves to be treated like this when they're just doing their job. It is simply appalling that there are some members of the public that think it's reasonable to treat a fast food worker in this way.
You know, I mentioned the other day, if you're working the Venezuelan capital of Caracas for the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, you get a danger allowance. I think McDonald's should pay staff extra for working in their Hindley Street store.
Hindley Street.
That is a dump, that place.
The shift that you do, I don't know, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m?
On a Friday night.
On a Friday night.
You should be like the Bronx.
Your uniform should be lined with Kevlar.
Kevlar vests.
I think it's an extraordinary ask. These kids are like 15 years old.
Oh, and you just got the drunkest and most objectionable people in there. Plus, there's a pretty significant community of meth enthusiasts in Hindley Street these days. Like it's that part of town, the wrong time of day. And the wrong time of day isn't necessarily nighttime sometimes.
True.
Like
That's
it's it's seedy. But didn't it get voted the dirtiest McDonald's in Australia?
It would be impossible
a couple of years ago.
Clean. I don't think that's not a reflection on McDonald's, the owners, or anyone who works
there.
There's
no
chance.
fault.
The grubbiest, non-caring group of people filtering through in their worst possible state.
Yeah.
Total disaster zone. The weather for today, that is a Tuesday. Right now, it's 18.8 outside. It's relative. It's totally balmy. Top of 24 on the way. But today will be the end of that nice little warm spell we've been having. Tomorrow, drop back to 17 and up to 5 mils of rain with a change coming through. Thursday, 16 and up to 10 mils of rain. Friday, 18 and up to 3. Saturday, 18 and dry. Sunday, 21 and dry. And then Monday, 22 and relatively dry.
Great text here from Rob on the Automasters text line. Hey, Dave, don't get SA too involved in gardening on the moon. I can just hear the residents of the Greater Moon Council protesting about the fact that they weren't made aware of the scope of the garden proposed. That is an excellent text, Rob.
I think Rex Patrick already wants the City Council to have a bit more of a say about this whole moon gardening business.
Yeah, maybe send it to a parliamentary inquiry. Or
He's already said it's outrageous. They haven't been consulted about it.
What about my dad last night? Where was their mum and dad round for dinner on Monday night? And he goes, geez, that was good when Rex Patrick went into that tunnel, wasn't it? One here as well from Wally the Walnut. He says, yes, there's water on the moon, Pembo. You can now fill up your rain-wise swimming pool when you're up there. That's excellent news, Wally. Thank you. And I like this one from Rob. He says, morning, if it did rain on the moon, it would have to be heavy water.
Yes.
To zero gravity.
That's exactly right. Tell you what, yesterday was the biggest day for South Australian football in a trade period since we've had two clubs in the AFL. Let's talk about sport. Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au. Two of the most hyped prospects of the last decade, Isaac Rankin, Jason Horne-Francis, returning to the Crows and Power respectively on the one day. It's laying the groundwork for a decade's worth of showdown highlights and moments.
Is it ever?
It is the story being written in real time. And it started yesterday. Now, look, you can read about the convoluted nature of the trade details. Effectively, Port gave up early picks this year and next year, involved in a 4-team, mega trade. Everyone's saying mega trade now. I'm so sick of saying it.
Mega trade.
Hearing it, mega trade. 4-team trade. They gave up early picks this year and next year. The reality is this: they got a steal. Junior Rioli basically got thrown in for nothing. I have no idea what North Melbourne got out of that deal. I have no idea how trading back from number one this year and trading last year's number one and getting 2, 3 and Port's future first makes any sense whatsoever. I think it's a total disaster for them, but not particularly fussed and interested in that. Nor West Coast, who seem to be chasing a couple of local guys. South Australian clubs are the football story yesterday. Port have made out like bandits. Make no doubt about that. Jason Horne-Francis has obviously got a lot to prove in the AFL, but based on his reputation and what he proved as a junior, what they got him for is a deal you do every day of the week and twice on Sundays. And Isaac Rankin is the tonic for the Crows' woes, which is, forget what position he plays. The Crows' problem has been in recent years, they try really hard. They need someone who's really good.
Yeah.
he's really good. They need skill, they need flair, they need some dynamism, and they got it. And that was the most important addition.
He's not necessarily just a forward, is he?
No,
I'm not plonking him in the midfield.
No, and you can envisage a scenario where he and Josh Rochelle spend time just rotating. One's playing as a small forward, one's having a squirt on the midfield on ball, and you rotate them back and forth. So it's like it was written for the purposes of being a fictional movie at some point in the future. That these two guys, these hugely highly touted youngsters that got drafted, went interstate on the very same day, come back to the two major rival clubs here in South Australia. It was just it's a great day, and everyone can be happy. I think a lot of Crows and Port fans are, our deal was this and your deal was that, and great, have fun with it. Knock yourselves out. The reality was both sides got better yesterday, and that's really exciting.
We've upset somebody. Sean on the text line says, how can you call Hindley Street seedy? You guys probably haven't been there for 20 years. Just sit back and drink your Chardonnay in your new Crows club rooms in 5 years' time. Thank you for that, Sean.
20 years ago.
I was actually there quite recently. But
I don't want to go through it too much, Deb.
I think calling the Hindley Street McDonald's troubled isn't really a beat-up. I think it's a well-documented statement of fact.
Yeah. So, awaiting evidence to the contrary.
How observant are our listeners? Di at Lockley says, hey Dave, do your parents normally come around on Tuesday night? Di, they normally do, but we changed the night this week. There you go.
Di was wondering whether you made that story up. I think that's what Di was going, okay, smart guy.
No,
what's going on
night.
here? They've shifted the night. 8223 text us on the Automasters text line 0480 or leave a comment if you happen to be watching along on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. There'll be lots more to talk about in sport with Rowie tonight regarding that massive day yesterday. Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timberlook Native Series sectional doors, gliderol.com.au.
Imagine the thought of innovation at your fingertips, accelerating with efficiency and power. Imagine a bold, striking design with the comfort and confidence of advanced safety tech. Imagine where you could go in a Hyundai SUV. An SUV range with enough style, tech and performance to turn your imagination into reality. So if you're thinking SUV, think Hyundai SUV. Discover yours at hyundai.com.au.
The most innovative paintbrush has arrived, Monarch Advanced Neo. Designed with ultra-tapered technology which picks up and releases up to 25% more paint. Faster, easier with no brush marks. Available now at all paint specialists, Monarch Advanced Neo.
I'm a massive fan of the outdoors and watching this amazing South Australian landscape unfold on either side of the highway. But I'm not a big fan of backing a caravan into a tree or post or parking it under a dodgy gum tree. If that happens to you, don't panic. It's probably covered by insurance, and the only name to trust for your repairs is Walker Crash Repairs. I'm a massive fan of John and the boys. They're your RAA approved caravan crash repairer, so let Walkers get it fixed right and quick.
Brick, block, pave and save. Stack, lay, pattern and play. The look, the quality, the range. Luton.
Right now, you can save up to 25% off quality Luton, formerly Boral Masonry, bricks, blocks and pavers at your local Luton reseller.
The range. Luton. The look, the quality, the range.
Save up to 25% off at your Luton reseller today.
The Barossa Valley is a place where things mature well and the locals really appreciate good vintage, which is why it makes sense to make the vine change and call the Barossa home. Barossa Village in Angaston, Tanunda and Nuriotpa gives you the retirement lifestyle you deserve. 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes are now available in safe, connected communities under an hour from the city. Mature well and let it breathe at Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Working with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
Russia has fired cruise missiles at cities across Ukraine, killing at least 11 civilians. Brett McLeod has more.
NATO, the European Union and world leaders have condemned the fresh wave of Russian attacks on Ukraine, which included damaging critical infrastructure, roads and a children's playground. Vladimir Putin said the barrage was in response to Ukraine blowing up Russia's bridge to Crimea. Military experts say that attack could see Russian forces soon running out of fuel in Crimea. And they add Putin's brutal retaliation on Ukraine's civilian population is unlikely to have any effect on the course of the war.
Parking in the city hasn't worked out well for more than half a dozen drivers. Their vehicles were vandalised overnight while parked near the Torrens on the western side of the Morfett Street Bridge. Police are investigating after number plates and mirrors were ripped off and windscreen wipers broken. Dents and scratches also reported. Direct entry and exit access from an upgraded South Road to the Crows' proposed new headquarters at Theberton Oval. The state government has made that commitment to ease traffic congestion. It was one of the issues raised at last week's community meeting. The Federal Treasurer is heading overseas today for a series of high-level economic meetings which will help frame this month's budget. Michael Packey reports.
Jim Chalmers leaves for Washington later today, where he'll hold talks with the bosses of the Federal Reserve, World Bank and International Monetary Fund. The high-level meetings will focus on the problems facing the global economy and how it feeds into Australia. The Treasurer has already signalled a tight budget ahead, partly as a result of the international downturn. The latest Resolve strategic poll suggests most voters would like the government to cut spending in areas like defence and pour the money into health and the NDIS.
Demographers say a solution to Australia's low birth rate is introducing universally free childcare. The birth rate is currently 1.66 births per woman, behind the 2.1 needed to grow the population without relying on immigration. The Demographics Group Director, Simon Kirstenmacher, says free childcare would make having a baby more affordable.
The most powerful but also freakishly expensive measure would be universal free childcare. That would allow us to send, if they chose to do so, more moms back to work sooner.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To footy first, and Jason Horne-Francis will front the media this morning after joining Port Adelaide in one of the biggest trade deals in history. Junior Rioli also joined Alberton in the mega trade, which involved 6 first-round picks between 4 clubs, including North Melbourne, West Coast and GWS. Meantime, Isaac Rankin landed at West Lakes after joining the Crows on a 3-year deal.
Hey guys, Isaac Rankin here. I'm officially signed on. I hope you do too. Can't wait to see you at Adelaide Oval next year.
Yeah, some great news for both clubs there. To cricket, and Steve Smith's omission from Australia's T20 side has left cricket legend Mark Taylor mystified. Taylor has told Wide World of Sports Smith has to be included in the upcoming T20 World Cup.
You look at someone like Steve Smith, he's an out-and-out class player, so I would find it hard as a selector not to have him in there somewhere.
Meanwhile, WA has gone down to India by 13 runs in a World Cup practice match in Perth. To boxing, and George Kambosos Jr. is determined to make up for the only loss of his career when he takes on American Devin Haney in a lightweight title fight rematch this Sunday.
It was my time to lose that fight, and it's my time to win. I will regain my belts, and I'll become an even better champion now. Not only for myself, not only for Australia, but for world of boxing.
In the EPL, scores are currently tied at 1-1 at half-time between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest, while in the NFL, Monday Night Football is due to get underway shortly between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 24 for your Tuesday, showers and 17 tomorrow, Thursday showers increasing in 16 and then 18 on Friday. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
"25 minutes to 7, police and weather coming up very shortly. There's a developing situation at Melbourne Airport happening as we speak that will likely have flow-on effects for people catching planes right around the country. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the second time I think this has happened in recent memory. So Qantas passengers in Melbourne are going to have to be re-screened. They're going to have to be re-screened because a passenger or small group of passengers inadvertently passed from an unscreened area to a screened area of the airport.
That happened about a month ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. As a precaution, all Qantas operations have been put on hold. All passengers in the terminal are being re-screened. That includes those that were sitting on planes on the tarmac.
Crikey.
So, as we know, the interconnected nature of these flights, that will mean flights from planes we're waiting to get to Adelaide that would then return to Melbourne or go on to Sydney or whatever are going to be delayed right across the day, I'd expect. So if you are planning to travel, I would be keeping an eye on it. Or if you're at the airport right now and you're already seeing delays pop up, give us a call and let us know what you're seeing. 8223 0000. How does that is the fundamental core business as an airport, isn't it? Making sure people are screened.
That probably isn't Qantas's fault either, is it?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
It would be airport security's fault.
Yeah, airport security.
I got one of those post-flight surveys sent to me by Qantas the other day after going to Melbourne a few weekends ago, and we'd like feedback about your flight. What did you think of your flight? And I just haven't had the heart to fill it in, because the short version is, well, the flight was cancelled. We found out about it via a text message late the night before. Then we got one a few hours later telling us that the new flight was now 3 hours later. Then we got there, that flight was delayed. We got into Melbourne about 8 hours later than we were scheduled to. And when we were about to land, the pilot came on there and said, due to a bit of congestion at the airport, we're now going to be in a holding pattern. We'll get back to you as to when the holding pattern is going to expire. And just flew around in circles in the air for about an hour.
Infuriating.
So, I don't know. You don't want to be that guy.
But you didn't give him a high score as well.
No, I just didn't even fill it in.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably...
Well, I just did talk about it on air for 5 minutes. I didn't.
That's
probably
true.
Even worse. But, you know.
Have you heard about John Cleese's new job?
No.
Morning. I was sitting in the public library of Sermon Street just now, skimming through Rogue Herries by Horace Walpole, when I suddenly came over all peckish.
Peckish, eh?
Esurient.
Eh?
Yeah, but all hungry like.
Ah, hungry.
In a nutshell.
It's not going to be doing comedy, though, that John Cleese's next job will be. He has confirmed he will host his own GB News TV show from next year. He was speaking to BBC Radio 4, who were reporting on the fact that the new show will see him working alongside the satirist Andrew Doyle, who people online will know is responsible for the Titanium McGrath Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
He's a political satirist.
He's pretty edgy too. He's
very edgy.
Anti-PC culture.
Andrew Doyle currently hosts Free Speech Nation on GB News. John Cleese has said that audiences may not be used to hearing the sort of things I'll be saying. I was approached and I didn't know who they were, he says of GB News originally. I didn't know about much about modern television because I've pretty much given up on it. English television, he said. GB News was the first TV broadcaster in the UK to start for 30 years. It started in June last year. So it's going to all be about freedom of speech, cancel culture, freedom of comedy, which of course he's heavily invested in and has spoken about at length. It's one of the things he's talked about that he's really looking forward to being able to debate and discuss. But it's going to be a debate show hosted by John Cleese.
That will be excellent. And it will be, in these very buttoned-down times, it will be a healthy antidote to some of the po-faced nonsense that passes for comedy elsewhere.
And
most of the current popular comics, the ones you see on the ABC, they seem to share one quality, which is that they don't actually tell any jokes.
Well, tell me the last time a major mainstream comedy film came out.
Well,
they used to come out every year.
I actually plagiarised that line from you in a column I did a few Sundays ago, thinking about our good mate here in Adelaide, Ian Henschke, formerly of the ABC, now working for some aged person's rights organisation, who came out and complained right here on 5AA with Jade Robrin about the Geelong post-grand final celebrations, that they were ageist and that we need to think carefully about the way... What? Like, that did really seem like the last spluttering gasp of any sense of humour we had in this country, that some people could be troubled by Danger and Tom Hawkins dressing up as geriatrics.
The only people that could have criticised that were those that don't follow football and are unaware that the criticism of the Geelong football side was that they were a bunch of geriatrics. They were too old. They were past it. Like, that was the whole joke about Geelong for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They were taking the mickey out of themselves.
Yeah. Oh, no, but, Will, this is what you're overlooking there is that they were using others as a vehicle to do it. That's apparently wrong these days.
Okay.
How would Peter Cook go doing his one-legged Tarzan sketch in 2022?
None of them would get it. No, they don't. No, it doesn't happen. I'm telling you right now. See, comedy doesn't happen.
The thing that I reckon, like, we look at Faulty Towers, and like the Germans episode that's been cancelled by the BBC, it's because it's got the N-word in it. When the Major is talking about, I think he's talking about West Indians or something. Now, you can look at that on the face of it and say, well, that's clearly racist because of the use of the word. I would argue that the person who's actually being held up to ridicule the most in that sketch is the Major.
Completely.
Who's the epitome of the doddery old sort of, toffee, militaristic pom who's a complete bigot. He is
the subject of derision.
Yeah, one of the great jokes in Faulty Towers is that morning where the Major picks up the newspaper and he goes, "Oh, strikes, strikes, strikes. I don't know why I bother, Basil." And Basil goes, "Yeah, I didn't know you did, Major." It's like, the whole joke is, you're just this retired military buffoon who serves no purpose anymore.
Exactly.
Like, he's the butt of the gag.
Great Ricky Gervais line of it, but part of the role of comedy in a society is it reinforces our understanding of the things that are right and wrong. And the reason it's funny, because we know some of these things shouldn't be spoken about or laughed about. It reinforces our understanding that that's the no-go zone, but a comedian gets to go there, and we share in that experience. That's important.
Here's a great text. File this one away under constructive criticism, Will. Hey, Will, I love you reading the news on 7, but you need to tie your tie a bit tighter. It's a little loose looking.
I'll take that on board.
There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Suggestion box. The Automasters text line can be the suggestion box. 0480 1395 for all your thoughts, criticisms.
No, you at least get tips. I don't get any, which makes me think people regard me as
perfect.
Your sartorial sense. No, not perfect. A lost cause.
All right. All right, let's check traffic. Secure the last 2 bedroom penthouses at Adelaide's most sought-after address. Visit 88o'connell.com.
At Elizabeth, we've got a smash on Main North Road at Wommer Road. Gillis Plain, seeing residual delays from earlier smash at North East Road near St Olds Road. The worst of the delays are between Ascot Avenue and OG Road. Leewood Gardens, a truck has broken down on the freeway, uptrack in the tunnel, extensive delays there. And we're quite busy at the moment, Mourane Road at Anzac Highway. Look out for a camera too, Valletta Road at Kidman Park. Burbank Homes is offering 50% off your choice of any upgrades. Add the finishing touches to your new home for half price. Search Burbank Homes. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The next generation of mighty South Aussies have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone.
Oceans without junk in them.
No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
To keep up, show up and step up? Then join up. Discover more at liveup.org.au. Live Up. Welcome to the upside of ageing.
Gentlemen, wish you could sleep at night without getting up constantly to pee? Caruso's Prostate Ease Max relieves the frequency of nighttime urination in men with medically diagnosed benign prostatic hypertrophy or enlarged prostate. So if you'd like to pee less and sleep more, try Caruso's Prostate Ease Max. Available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If you've not had your symptoms diagnosed or if your symptoms persist or worsen, consult a medical practitioner.
There's been plenty of talk about interest rate rises having an impact on the real estate market, but there are still a lot of buyers keen to find their perfect home.
We're only talking to Susanna Toope about this yesterday. Adelaide has become a national property hotspot, with home values here outpacing every other capital city.
And we know our friends at Toope & Toope work across all suburbs. We can tell you right now they're working with 5,212 buyers in Medindie, 5,481 in Dulwich, and 5,959 in Unley. They're all searching for their perfect property in these specific locations.
So if you're thinking of selling and you'd like to know about how many buyers Toope & Toope are working with in your suburb, just go to their website, toope.com.au.
Top of the list? First pick, numero uno. If you've been dreaming of choosing a new Mazda, Mawson Lakes Mazda want to give you preferential treatment. New stock has arrived, and right now you can take first pick of the Mazda range and lock in an amazing deal. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. see the new stock available for delivery now. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Kate Collins and Brenton Raglas, the faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
14 to 7. If you'd like to nominate a hero this week, it's a Tuesday morning. Hero of the Week time coming up, 8223 0000. Shout someone out in your life or around the world for deeds grand and small. Let's first talk weather. Simon Tempe, senior forecaster at the Bureau. It's a balmy one this morning, Simon.
It sure is. It's been a pretty warm night. Our minimum temperature in the city here dropped to only 16.3 degrees. Currently sitting on 18.6 degrees, so a pretty warm start to the day, and that's due to a couple of things. The northeasterly wind has kept blowing overnight. We've also had quite a lot of cloud overnight too. Looking at the satellite picture, expecting, I guess, mostly cloudy conditions for Adelaide today, and it's going to try and rain out of that cloud. Looking at the radar at the moment, there's a few echoes around the place, but it's very dry in the low levels of the atmosphere, so I think that rainfall mostly evaporating before it reaches the ground. But we might get the odd spot here or there, but unlikely to pick up any sort of significant rain totals, and we'll even struggle to measure much in the rain gauges today, I think. A warmish sort of day ahead. I guess expecting a maximum of 24 degrees today for the city. Around the suburbs, 24 as well for Elizabeth, and 23 degrees for Noarlunga, Mount Barker and Glenelg. The winds persisting from the northeast during the morning, tending around a bit more northwesterly during the afternoon. We'll see some showers increase during Wednesday. The winds will be pretty light, plenty of cloud around the place. Quite a bit cooler though, just 17 degrees for the maximum on Wednesday after an overnight minimum of 12. Thursday, probably our wettest day of the week, with plenty of showers around. The winds west to northwesterly, temperatures remaining on the cooler side as well, only 16 degrees the maximum for Thursday. On Friday, the showers will ease, I think. Ease during the afternoon, probably mostly clear by Friday evening, 18 degrees the maximum that day. And then conditions over the weekend should be mostly dry, but the slight chance of a shower here or there, but unlikely to be any significant rainfall on the weekend, and plenty of long dry spells. 18 degrees the maximum for Saturday, 21 for Sunday. And then I think we'll see some showers develop again later on Monday, but 22 degrees ahead of those showers, guys.
Good stuff, Simon. Thanks very much.
All right, let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Dave Muir's on the line. Morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Now, Dave, we were talking earlier about this bout of vandalism overnight just down near Morford Street. What's the latest with it?
Mindless, senseless, idiotic.
Yes, all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah, pick D. This was just after 1 o'clock. Police were called to a car park near Festival Drive after an owner returned to their car to find that his driver's side mirror had been damaged, his number plates had been removed and windscreen wipers had been ripped off. Now, while police were having a chat to him, and a number of other owners returned to their cars to find them damaged in similar ways, with number plates removed or bent while they were still on the vehicle, windscreen wipers ripped off. One car was marked with graffiti, another vehicle had its roof and bonnet stomped on, causing a number of dents. The missing number plates, some of the cars had their number plates actually removed. Looks like they were struggling to get some off, so decided, well, we'll just bend these while they're in place. But the ones that were removed have all been recovered. We've actually seized them to undergo forensic examination. So in total, 7 cars damaged. Our investigations are continuing. Pardon me. We are asking anyone who may have had their vehicle parked to that location or even nearby and have discovered some damage to give us a call at the police assistance line on 131 444, and anyone with information whatsoever is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Dave, you've also arrested a man who smashed up a St Mary's business.
Yeah, unrelated but similar sort of incident, I suppose, when it's in relation to some senseless damage. This is at St Mary's overnight. Just before 9:30, police were called to a business showroom on South Road near Celtic Avenue after reports a man had kicked the glass door, causing it to smash. Patrols conducted a search of the area, located the suspect a few streets away. That 29-year-old man of no fixed address was charged with property damage. he's been refused bail and he'll front the Christie's Beach Magistrates Court on later today. Sorry.
Good on you, Dave. Thank you.
Dave.
Senior Constable Dave Muir from SAPOL. Tuesday morning, Hero of the Week time, 9 minutes to 7. We got Matt Nashford to kick us off today. Matt, good morning. Who's your hero?
G'day, boys. My hero's grandparents in school holidays.
Grandparents in the school holidays. That's a good one, Matt.
Sounds like you've got recent experience, Matt.
Oh, I mean, like today, my parents are coming from the Barossa, coming down to entertain my 3 kids. I come across some grandparents yesterday that were taking their grandkids to the beach house if I'm able to spend $1 gazillion. I just think they do an amazing job. At their age, my parents are not all that young, and they're entertaining, 14, 12-year-old, 10-year-olds. They do a great job.
Yeah, I reckon that's a really good nomination, Matt. I'd be lost without my mum and dad. Kate and I are going out for a rare restaurant meal, the two of us together, in a couple of Saturdays' time, and the boys are having a sleep over there, and you need to be able to do that sort of stuff. And you're right too about them being older. Like, age is no barrier. My dad's 80 now, and he's still running around with the kids. It's great.
Fantastic. Matt, terrific. Hero of the Week nomination, 8223 is the number. Sam Daddo's back from Bathurst. Morning, Sam.
I am back. And before
Welcome
I get to
back,
my...
Sam.
Thank you, David. Before I get to my hero, I need to square up with you two.
Yeah.
I'm sick of always being the voice on the lonesome and all that, but Sound of Music yesterday... You guys, it's an epic film. I love the Sound of Music.
You should catch up with Koshy.
Is it a port thing?
When Captain Von Trapp plays Edelweiss at the end at the talent show and the kids join in with, it's really good. And you guys, I couldn't believe that. I was yelling at the radio.
Rightly admonished.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
I was
Sam.
gonna do a Bathurst themed one, but I did that yesterday, so it could have been Van Gisbergen for running off mid Today Show interview, vomiting because he partied too hard Sunday night, or Richie Stanaway the Kiwi. But I had to keep it for our very own Stephen Rowe. Top left, Will. It says Sam's hero.
I sense the fans are riding this with every single second and blow, that when it lands, they will have parties in the streets. They'll rejoice that he is the Messiah, the second coming. Fellas, it's not going to land, and when it doesn't, I'm going to laugh my gizzards out.
So are you seriously saying, Ray, so you don't think Port are going to get him?
No, I don't reckon they can. I don't reckon they will. They're not willing to give up on him.
Thank you, Rowie, for putting the mockers on it yesterday and getting it over the line, Jason on Francis. To the power. Can you feel it?
That is a great nomination.
He jinxed it into reality for you guys.
Did he ever?
What a great Hero of the Week nomination. Maria in Seaton also has a Hero of the Week nomination. Morning, Maria.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks, Maria.
I would like to nominate my 2 sons because a couple of weekends ago, they both took part in the Melbourne Marathon, and they both completed the Melbourne Marathon. My youngest for the first time, and the older one this was his second marathon that he completed.
Wow!
So I'm really, really proud of both of them.
Do they get their running genes from you, Maria?
Oh yeah. Now, yes. So people that know me would know that that's correct. I don't think so.
That's great, Maria.
Yeah.
How old are they, Maria?
My oldest will be, his birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks. He'll be 39, and my youngest is 32.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations to them. That's a terrific effort. Remarkable feat.
You've done a half marathon, haven't you, Will?
Yep.
Crikey.
Slowly.
Did you do it on the same day?
Yeah, that's right. So for a month.
A lot of Port fans are texting in, cheering Sam Daddo on for rightly slotting Rowie for his call yesterday. As he was saying it, I was thinking, surely not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's
tomorrow's another day.
Let's not dwell on that.
I want to nominate everybody who was involved in the Bali rescue and all the medical staff. Just feels apt to do a sensible one ahead of tomorrow with the 20-year anniversary. We've got a big interview lined up with someone who was in the Sari Club on the night tomorrow. We'll be doing that tomorrow morning, crossing up to Bali to talk to him. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it was 2 decades ago. I can remember almost hour by hour how that unfolded. It's massive.
We'll be doing a bit on it tomorrow morning on the program as well.
Yeah.
I mentioned it right at the start of 7 o'clock. I want to mention the guy who was on the Klitschko bridge as it was being attacked by rockets from Russia overnight. Some extraordinary footage from Ukraine. And the reason I make that nomination is I think that person's experience is emblematic of the Ukrainian experience over the course of the war. This is a bloke that was minding his own business that suddenly got attacked in a retaliatory rocket strike aimed at the symbolism of blowing up a bridge important to you after you blew up one that was important to me, except two things happened. One, the one guy on the bridge just walked away from the incident, and two, the bridge is still there. And it felt symbolic of what we've seen thus far in the war and Russia's best attempts to ruin and disrupt and destroy the lives of those in Ukraine. I looked it up. The Klitschko pedestrian bicycle bridge was the target here.
It's not exactly the bridge on the River Kwai, is it?
It's
it doesn't feel like key infrastructure.
If you Google
it'd be like if you went to war with South Australia and you started by blowing up the Adelaide University footbridge.
Oh no, that is 100% correct. If you look it up, it's on TripAdvisor's list of things to do in Kiev. It's not as though it's a main rail or freight bridge. There's not tanks being supplied to battlefields by way of the Klitschko pedestrian bicycle bridge. It is pathetic.
That's
pathetic.
Funny.
We'll talk more about what's happened in the last 24 hours after 7 o'clock. Love you to be part of the show, though. 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us to on the Automasters text line or watch along on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. And you can leave your comments there as well. We got plenty to come this morning, including Phil Curry in the next hour on the program, and a little bit later, Grace Tame will be joining us. I know you had an extensive chat with her yesterday, David. Came in later in the day and caught up with her to talk about her new book.
She's a very brave and provocative young woman, and I think that even though clearly there'll be a few people on the conservative side of politics who probably bristled at things like her encounter with ScoMo when she was being ushered out as Australian of the Year, when she gave him the side eye. Like, I think you need people like that who are out there, you know, throwing a few hand grenades and stirring things up a bit. And given what she went through, I'd cut a vast amount of slack. She was that creep. 58 years old he was when she was a schoolgirl. And he's still out there harassing her online. He was threatening to release private emails between the pair of them the other day. Just extraordinary.
2 minutes to 7.
When shopping around for hearing aids, the main sound you'll hear is... But not at Specsavers, where you don't have to pay top dollar for top-of-the-range hearing aids. Just book a free 15-minute hearing check at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Then maybe you could use those savings to hear something more pleasant like... Should have gone to Specsavers. Conditions apply.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell & O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell & O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell & O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
That's a painful noise no one wants to hear. A gum tree branch damaging your caravan. If an accident like this does happen, speak to Walker Crash Repairs and get it fixed quick. They are the experts in caravan repairs. Scrapes, dents, holes, and that little incident reversing the van that no one else needs to know about. Walker Crash Repairs, for easy insurance repairs on your caravan. Get it fixed right with Walker Crash Repairs, your RAA approved caravan crash repairer.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
Vandals have targeted a group of cars parked in the city. Senior Constable Dave Muir says it happened overnight.
Just after 1 o'clock, police were called to a car park near Festival Drive after an owner returned to their car to find that his driver's side mirror had been damaged, his number plates had been removed and windscreen wipers had been ripped off.
A total of 7 vehicles were damaged, with reports of graffiti and dents and scratches. Investigations are continuing. A showroom at St Mary's was damaged in an attempted robbery last night. A man allegedly kicked a glass door in at Bob Burns Blinds on South Road. The 29-year-old was picked up nearby. He's been charged and refused bail ahead of a court appearance next month. There are delays for Qantas passengers at Melbourne Airport this morning after a screening bungle saw the terminal evacuated. Gail Watson is there.
Qantas says a passenger inadvertently passed from an unscreened area to a screened area of the airport. That set off a major operation to get everyone out of the terminal so they could be re-screened. Tim was on the plane about a minute from taking off when the pilot told them there was an issue.
If it's quite serious, then I'm glad that they've evacuated the terminal. To make sure everyone's safe, because it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth a few hours of waiting.
Ian Robson, CEO of Rowing Australia, arrived for his 7 a.m. flight only to be met by lengthy queues.
It's going to be a long, late morning, I would suggest.
The delays are likely to have a flow-on effect around the country. In a statement, Qantas says safety is their number one priority and they're investigating how this incident occurred.
Although the rain has cleared for now, more than 100 flood warnings remain in place across New South Wales. Residents in the southwestern parts of the state will be hit the hardest by a new system moving through tomorrow. Senior meteorologist Grace Legg says residents need to stay vigilant.
On some areas, 20 to 50 millimetres possible, especially, as I mentioned, sort of Riverina and the southwest parts of the state. Once you move further east, though, it does ease up a little bit.
Vladimir Putin has confirmed that Russia launched a barrage of missile attacks across Ukraine in retaliation for Saturday's explosion to occupy Crimea. The BBC's Steve Rosenberg is in Moscow.
First, he ordered the bombardment of Ukrainian cities. And then, Vladimir Putin chaired a meeting of the powerful Russian Security Council. The Kremlin believes that Ukraine's intelligence services were behind the blast on the bridge linking Russia to the Crimean Peninsula. With the bridge a symbol of Vladimir Putin's annexation of Crimea, the attack was a personal blow to the Kremlin leader. Pro-war Russian politicians and commentators welcomed the missile strikes on Ukraine.
And disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein is back on trial over allegations of rape and sexual assault, this time in Los Angeles. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
What's happening in the footy, Jace Kemp?
Oh, there's plenty, Mel, and that's where we'll start. Adelaide will unveil Isaac Rankin this morning after he joined the Crows in a trade with the Gold Coast. Adelaide essentially gave up pick 5 for the small forward who joins the club on a 3-year deal. Crows head of football Adam Kelly says the 22-year-old is a versatile asset.
Our vision is for him to be able to get up in the centre bounce and up in the stoppage and become a real damaging forward half player. We've seen that quite a bit with his underage footy, especially during the national champs. And in the back half of this season with Gold Coast, we've seen him getting up the ground quite a bit.
Meanwhile, Jason Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli are now power players after joining Port Adelaide in a massive trade between 4 clubs. North Melbourne also swapped its first selection for 2 picks in the mega deal. Roos list manager Brady Rawlings defended the club's decision to part ways with its prize selection.
Pick 1's been involved in it, and reason being we've got 3 players at the top of the draft or that we haven't been able to split all year, and our mindset is we can get 2 of those players through this trade rather than 1 of them.
Elsewhere, Luke Jackson was traded to the Dockers while Will Setterfield joined Essendon. To the NBL, and the Adelaide 36ers are getting ready for their season opener against the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. After knocking off the Phoenix Suns in America, Sixers forward Robert Franks has high expectations for the season.
Championship or bust, to be honest with you. For us to go out there and compete and kind of be in control of that whole game just showed how great this team could be.
While finally in the EPL, it's 1-1 between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest in the second half. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Fulham Gardens, look out for a Earth Watermate today. Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road. Speed down to 40 k's. Got a left-hand lane close there. One lane also closed. Marriott Road near 5th Avenue at Ascot Park. That's affecting outbound speeds at 40. And we've got works continuing today. Upper Sturt Road near Hawthorne Dean Drive at Belair. Busy at the moment. South Road as you're driving through Tonsley with a camera at Church Terrace at Walkerville. At Big W, you save every time you shop with thousands of specials across the store and online. Now that's value every day. Shop now at bigw.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 24 today, showers and 17 tomorrow. Thursday, showers increasing in 16. Friday, showers easing 18. Right now, it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 7, just seen some pictures coming out of Melbourne Airport this morning where there has to be a mass re-screening of people because a person or group of persons, I've seen varying reports on this to this point, made it through the security screening point without being properly screened.
I don't even know how that happens.
I have no concept.
How on earth do you do it?
Especially as we were saying earlier, it's the second time this has happened in a period of a month or two.
But think about the Adelaide Airport. Normally there's only 2 screening points open. How do you get around them?
It blows my mind. So what in the previous instance, it was all people from one plane had to go back through and get screened. Today, it's everyone. It was people even on planes on the tarmac. Get off the plane, grab your bags. You got to go outside and back through again. So right now in Melbourne, and I don't know what the temperature is on the ground in Melbourne. I'm guessing it's probably fairly cool. There are people lining up. It's right now it's 9 degrees outside there at the moment, so you know it'd be icy. There are people lining up out through the taxi rank, waiting to get back inside the terminal, lining up to go through security. There will be residual delays around the country flight-wise, so it's something to keep an eye on if you are planning to fly today, albeit, based on recent experience, I think most people are kind of across the idea that their flight might be delayed. But this one is a real peculiar thing that's coming out of the box. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But if you're at the airport and you can see some evidence of it affecting Adelaide flights today, do call us and let us know what you're seeing. 8223 0000 is the number. The biggest story in the world right now and today. And in fact, on this front, there's some breaking news with the US president speaking. The retaliatory strikes from Russia and Ukraine following the destruction of the bridge that links Russia and Crimea on Vladimir Putin's birthday came yesterday in a significant way. It was designed to send a message. Missile strikes on cities right across Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv, Lviv in the western part of Ukraine too, which had been largely spared. It's right up against the border with Poland. It was struck as well. It was a message that was sent loud and clear from Moscow. The first time Kyiv has been targeted in months. There have been more than a dozen people killed across the country. Critical infrastructure was hit in 12 regions. 30 fires broke out in Kyiv. There was electricity that went out. They're having to stress test the entire thing at the moment. Upwards of 80 missiles were launched in the wave of attacks that came through. And to the untrained eye, maybe that's being too kind to Russia, it was indiscriminate. These weren't.
Was it even indiscriminate, or was it deliberate?
Yeah,
that they were actually going, let's really put the wind up them by just plonking these missiles in the middle of suburbia.
Playgrounds, apartment buildings, intersections. We're not talking about major strategic targets here. This was designed to terrorise the Ukrainian people. Vladimir Putin spoke publicly and openly about the attacks.
Оставлять без ответа преступления подобного рода уже просто
He
невозможно.
says it's simply impossible to leave crimes of this kind unanswered. This morning, at the suggestion of the Defence Ministry and according to the plan of the Russian General Staff, a massive strike with air, sea and land-based high-precision, long-range weapons was performed against Ukrainian Energy Military Command and communications facilities.
What, playgrounds? Universities?
Well, one of those things is a lie, isn't it? They're either not that precision, or they weren't targeting places of high strategic import.
The more candid comment about it has been made in the last couple of hours by the former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who wrote this: "The first episode has been played, there will be others." and says that the goal of Russia's future actions should be the full-fledged dismantling of the Ukrainian political regime and then the full breakup and what he calls repatriation of the country back into what was the old USSR.
It's been condemned around the world. Joe Biden, as I speak, the White House has released a statement saying they're going to increase aid to Ukraine as a result. He says the attacks once again demonstrate the utter brutality of Putin's illegal war on the Ukrainian people. UN Chief Antonio Guterres says the strikes were another unacceptable escalation, while French leader Emmanuel Macron, who's been instrumental in trying to broker some sort of a peace on the ground, said these attacks are a profound change in the nature of this war. Here's how it sounded as a BBC reporter was doing a live cross.
So the fear is that this could trigger a very strong Russian response. We saw yesterday that a residential area of the city of Zaporizhia, a major city in the south of the country, very close to the front lines, was hit. More than a dozen. So
That's harrowing. That's what you're hearing.
Quite a live cross, isn't it?
That's not the sound of a plane going overhead.
No.
That's missile.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Those poor people.
Back here in Australia, there was finally a bit of an insight into the state and the health of John Farnham. Here's a little bit of an interview with his two sons that died last night.
He's in recovery now. Obviously pulled through the surgery, and that was pretty hectic, pretty hairy. But yeah, he's on the mend now, and he's feeling a bit better. He's a bit chirpier, and he's making jokes again, and all that sort of stuff, which is fantastic.
People are asking questions like, will John ever sing again? But is it just too early to sort of go there?
It's a long road to recovery still. We've still only just done the first stage. So it's a long way to go, so it's not even really on our minds as far as I think.
No, it's definitely not on his mind.
Yeah. No.
He just wants to get better.
Yeah.
And as he said before, like, a lot of people have walked the path before, and he's on the path now, and anyone that's been on that path understands what it involves and how taxing it is on everyone and your body. But that's the hot question. I mean, of course, people are going to ask that because that's what he does.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, if people weren't asking that, that'd be weird. So,
yeah.
It's good that people are asking that because, and that makes him feel good too.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely not something that he's thinking about at the moment, for sure.
Great interview. Great job by the lads on A Current Affair last night.
Yeah, they sound really composed, didn't they? Like under incredibly harrowing circumstances, but yeah, I thought they were quite philosophical about the whole thing.
They said he loved the Robbie Williams concert.
Yeah.
At the grand final and the tribute. He was pretty chuffed with it. And it was...
Did you hear anyone who had anything negative to say about that concert? I think
no.
The most unifying
I think you're right.
moment in AFL musical history.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So nice to hear that John Farnham is on the mend. It was interesting to get some insight into how he discovered it. He was just having some trouble. He was sleeping on one side, and he went to the dentist thinking he had a toothache or something. It was a sort of a lump in his mouth. The dentist said, "No, that's not something that I can deal with," and got it checked out. So one of those sorts of fluky scenarios.
Deeply unpleasant.
Absolutely. 8223 is our number if you'd like to jump into the conversation this morning. You can text us too on the Automasters text line 0448 08 1395. Let's check traffic. Secure the last two-bedroom penthouse at Adelaide's most sought-after address. Visit 88o'connell.com.
Thanks, Will. Got a burst water main to look out for this morning at Fulham Gardens, Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road. Speeds are down to 40. Got a left-hand lane closed there. Also got a lane closed, Goodwood Road near Dawes Road. That's at Door Park, down to 40 k's. And works are continuing up Sturt Road near Hawthorndine Drive at Belair. Busy at the moment. South Road is driving through Tonsley with cameras Church Terrace, Walkerville, and Gage Street at Firle. Get $15 off at Coles when you spend $200 or more online. Ends today. Head to coles.com.au and use promo code SAVE15. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Great foodness in Foodland. The mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Weekdays days.
It is getting worse, is it?
Absolutely, particularly the high value, the Wagyus. It's a magnificent product and the thieves certainly know that.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
City Discount Tires.
Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Falcon Zeek ZE914 car tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for cost-saving, fuel efficiency and performance. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires.
G'day, it's Jared for Southern Mitsubishi. Thinking Mitsubishi or servicing your existing car? Southern Mitsubishi is your absolute go-to. Their state-of-the-art servicing technology and world-class quality control systems will ensure your vehicle gives you many years of hassle-free motoring pleasure. The same goes for buying a new Mitsubishi. They stock the full range, all designed to thrill. So get in touch with the amazing team at Southern Mitsubishi, 147 Main South Road, Morfett Vale. Driven by Australian Motors, LVD 80.
A lot of shopping centres are the same. Same predictable shops, same food options. But if you want something new, check out Newton Central. Grab a coffee at JD Brew or a bite at Java Lifestyle Coffee and Tea or dine at Delano's Risotto and Pasta Bar. It's the kind of centre where you can get some retail therapy, do the weekly shop or just relax. Want something new in your life? Choose a new local. Choose Newton Central, Gorge Road, Newton.
I'm high!
Call into the Excelsior Hotel for their incredible $16 lunch specials, Monday to Friday. Choose from fish and chips, salt and pepper squid, schnitties, roast of the day, porterhouse steak and more, all with chips and salad. And if you can't make lunch, come for happy hour 4 to 6 p.m. weekdays and 12 to 6 p.m. Saturdays. $16 lunch specials and happy hours at the Excelsior Hotel. Feels like coming home, but better. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
When you switch to Aldi, you'll save more on everyday items like bakery products. And then you can spend more on other stuff like baking yourself on a tropical beach somewhere. Right, time to turn over. So don't change your lifestyle, change your supermarket. Why not visit Aldi today to see just how much you can save on a weekly shop? I would, but my diary's chock-a-block. Aldi, good. Different.
Kate Collins and Brenton Reglis, the faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Eight minutes after 7, we'll talk sport in a moment. Phil Curry on Federal Politics after 7:30. But first, this is exciting. Our next guest, Associate Professor Caitlin Burt from the ANU, Australian National University, is part of what is a pretty exciting operation along with a group called Lunaria One. Lunaria One, a space startup where they're planning to grow plants on the moon as early as 2025. Professor Caitlin Burt, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we're great. I guess the first question is why?
This is a really exciting challenge, both from a biology perspective and an engineering perspective, and can have spin-offs for how we actually manage food security on Earth.
So, but how does it work? Like, I'm the deal of this relationship here, Professor Burt. My friend Will knows quite a bit about space. I only discovered an hour ago that there was apparently some water on the moon, but I would have thought that, you know, whatever small reservoirs of water there are, either pole of the moon, that the conditions would be so inhospitable that this would be impossible.
And once Earth was like that too. There's a long time ago, the Earth was barren, the Earth was dry. Some of the predictions think that it was actually asteroids with ice crashing into Earth that started to help to produce the opportunity to have water on Earth. And of course, once there was no plants either. So plants were able to evolve on a barren Earth a long time ago, which makes it feasible that it could possibly happen on other planets.
So are the sorts of plants you're talking about using then, Professor, are they similar to the first mosses and things that evolved on Earth?
Well, we've been exploring this type of plant called a resurrection plant. And those type of plants, some of them have evolved in desert areas where you can have huge long periods of time of no water. And what they do is they dry out to sometimes within a tiny proportion of their usual water content, and they go into kind of like a stasis. And then as soon as the season changes and there's rain available, they come back into bloom again. So they've already evolved mechanisms to, pause their biology, sit in a stasis form and then actually come back to life, which is the type of mechanism that you could imagine would be really handy if you're planning to take plants on space travel, where you might want them to, just go into stasis for a while and then come back to life to be able to produce food and things for people on space trips.
Without wanting to sound too much like Jeff Goldblum in the first Jurassic Park, plant life begat animal life on Earth, did it not? So is there a risk that you're sort of interfering with the order of things on the moon by doing this?
There is a risk that we're interfering with the order of things because before plants there were microbes. So really, if we're going to be sensible about it, we might start with microbial life forms. So in the context of evolution, you had single-celled little prokaryotic organisms, and then from there, we actually think that some of those organisms kind of swallowed other organisms, and though that swallowing enabled a symbiotic relationship between those organisms that then led to greater complexity, which is like a eukaryotic type cell, which led to, the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. And then from those types of cells, we actually got multicellular organisms. So that process happened on Earth. It's not like we're trying to instantly recreate that process on the moon. At this stage, it's really the key outcomes of doing this experiment are that we're hoping and planning to be able to have parallel experiments in schools and available to the public on Earth as we run on the moon. So that means we're going to have multiple terrarium-like containments with the plants that we select for this trip, and kids are going to be able to watch their plants live whilst watching footage come in from the moon to see how the plants on the moon are performing. So the name of the project is ALIF, so Australian Lunar Experiment for Promoting Horticulture, and we think that this is a super cool way to get kids involved in thinking about plant biology.
It actually sounds like there is no doubt in your mind that this will work, Professor.
Well, there's a whole pile of teams around the world who have had success in growing plants on space missions, on the International Space Station. So we're not coming in here, doing this sort of first thing on no precedent. There are a number of teams, and of course NASA's done some really pioneering work in this area. One of the things that we're really excited about is the engineering side from both the terrarium itself and also the capability to optimise crops for the really challenging environments of space. Because the spin-offs from that is that you would be able to have the knowledge to be able to build systems and have plants that can be used in really challenging environments, and that has applications for things like, post-disaster recovery. So one of the examples that we've been talking about is, how in January there was the Hunga Tonga eruption and, more recently there was Hurricane Ian. You have an area where there's communities that are really devastated by, a disaster event. And, humans will work towards being able to, say, drop food to help those communities in need. And then there's an interim period where they still haven't rebuilt, but what are they going to use to propagate food? So if you imagine this kind of system, if you can send it to the moon and still grow food, then you can send it to those communities and be like, here we go, this is how we're going to do it, and you're going to have like fresh leafy greens for your diet whilst you're rebuilding if you've experienced a disaster and you're trying to recover from it. So I think that the knowledge aspect is a key part of it, as well as the opportunity to interact with schools and get kids involved.
Fascinating science, and with practical application on Earth too. Love speaking with you, Associate Professor Caitlin Burt from the Australian National University. Between things like that and the Artemis mission that's going to take off at some point, presumably, suddenly the moon feels really close again. We spent about 40 years of the moon being sort of an irrelevance, largely, been there, done that, but now it's back in a big way.
The moon is back.
The moon's back. I'm calling it. David, I'm calling it. The moon is back. Better be careful with big calls, because about this time in the morning we've been in trouble in recent days.
Well, what's this wee white man?
The royal we.
Yes, that's right. We speak, of course, of our colleague Stephen Rowe.
Enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. I'm trying to give him some cover. Toyota certified pre-owned Toyota at North Point Toyota yesterday. Well, it was the news that he wasn't exactly predicting at this time, that they were talking about on the sports show, the Jason Horne-Francis mega trade.
So Port Adelaide will get Jason Horne-Francis, Junior Rioli, a 2023 second rounder and a 2023 third rounder. They have lost picks 8, 43, 53, 57, a future next year, a second rounder next year, and a third rounder next year.
So here for me is, if Jason Horne-Francis is the talent that we believe he to be, Rioli's for absolute needs to jump back in the 8, small forward. The other thing with this is they haven't lost to Georgiadis, they haven't lost to Butters, they haven't lost to Bonner, they haven't lost anyone they wanted to keep. That is a reboot for next year. That is more than a double thumbs up. That's cartwheels off the Henley Jetty. Now, just imagine if Port Adelaide can, with one of those second round picks or a future, land Radigalia.
Which is something that will play out potentially today and over the next 48 hours. So it'd be pick 33 for Asava Radigalia, the key position player from Geelong. And then it'd be, it's nice when you can manoeuvre your list to improve your chances to win in the short and long term. And that's what Port Adelaide did yesterday. They addressed a need in the short term.
It's a great result for them.
Secured a guy who's going to be a star of the competition, you'd imagine, for years to come as well. And they did it without selling the farm. Remarkable result. Remarkable day for South Australian football yesterday, with two of the most highly touted prospects in years returning to play for the Crows in Isaac Rankin and Jason Horne-Francis with Port on the same day. Feels like the start of a story is being written, and I reckon it's going to have some pretty exciting chapters over the years too between those two. More on the sports show tonight. Enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota and a Toyota certified pre-owned Toyota at North Point Toyota.
A train travelling at 100 kilometres per hour needs the length of 2 football ovals to stop. Trains can't stop quickly. You can. Stand back, look up, stay rail safe. A message from the Government of South Australia.
From the fields up north
to the oceans west,
we comb the land for the food that's best.
Great food lives here, Foodland, the mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Now, Will, this is a rhetorical question. I'm sure I know the answer to it. Do you remember the fantastic Wohlers VIP nights?
Do I remember them? I lie awake at night just thinking about them. Door prizes, refreshments, spot specials throughout the night. They're a cracker.
I tell you what, that one at Richmond, we've attended a few of them, but it was just packed.
Bowls of chips.
The chips were really good. The cafe, it's always good there at Wohlers. Well, the good news is that the Wohlers VIP night, it's back, it's bigger than ever, and the venues are increasing too. And what about the prizes? The Wohlers family, they're giving away over $10,000 in prizes, including Lazy Boy and IMG recliners.
How exciting is that?
It's very exciting. You'll be pleased to know that Mount Barker's VIP night is this Wednesday, and they invite everyone to come and meet the Wohlers family and enjoy the offers available throughout the night.
So what? Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night. And
Incredible.
it's going to be an exciting night, starting from 4:30 until 7:30 p.m. at Wohlers Mount Barker.
And if you love their Richmond and Tanunda stores, don't worry, their VIP nights are coming up too. Just check out Wohlers' Facebook page for details.
Have your rent and electricity bills gone through the roof? Hot water is one of the most expensive parts of your electricity bill, but EcoVantage could help. If your rent is below $400 per week, your home might qualify for a free EcoVantage heat pump. Ask your landlord to request a free changeover today. Keep your bills down and your landlord gets a free hot water service. Win-win. Hit up your landlord and ask for EcoVantage today. EcoVantage.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Gentlemen, are you getting up 3 or 4 times a night to pee? Caruso's Prostate Ease Max relieves the frequency of nighttime urination in men with medically diagnosed benign prostatic hypertrophy or enlarged prostate.
So if you'd like to pee less and sleep more, try Caruso's Prostate Ease Max. Available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If you've not had your symptoms diagnosed or if your symptoms persist or worsen, consult a medical practitioner.
At Anderson's Solicitors, we have a brand new look. But behind it, we're still the same faces. The same approachable, client-focused team, committed to helping find the right solution for you. With locations across the state, whether you need help with family law, commercial law, wills and estates, or personal injury claims, talk to Anderson's Solicitors today. Visit andersons.com.au or phone 8238 6666. That's 8238 6666.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy and 24 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
Police want to hear from anyone who had their car vandalised in the city overnight. Several vehicles were damaged in a car park near Festival Drive. Senior Constable Dave Muir says at least 7 cars were tampered with.
One car was marked with graffiti. Another vehicle had its roof and bonnet stomped on, causing a number of dents. Some of the cars had their number plates actually removed. Looks like they were struggling to get some off, so decided, well, we'll just bend these while they're in place. But the ones that were removed have all been recovered.
The Crows have welcomed a state government bid to ease traffic concerns near their proposed new headquarters at Theberton Oval. Direct entry and exit access from an upgraded South Road would be built to tackle traffic and parking congestion. The issue was raised by local residents at last week's community meeting. Well, thousands of passengers are being re-screened at Melbourne Airport this morning after a security breach. Qantas says a passenger inadvertently passed from an unscreened area to a screened area of the airport. Laurie has told Today he's waiting to be re-screened.
Everyone's just come out of all the terminal areas and had to go back downstairs, back through to the screening area, and everyone's getting security checked once again, and then they'll be put on their flights.
This month's federal budget will take into account the headwinds being faced by the global economy. Treasurer Jim Chalmers will head to the US today for a series of high-level meetings. He'll hold talks with the bosses of the Federal Reserve, World Bank and International Monetary Fund. John Farnham's sons say he's on the long road to recovery following his life-saving surgery. They thanked Australians for their support on A Current Affair last night. The 73-year-old had a cancerous growth removed from his mouth back in August. Robert and James say when they saw him after surgery, they knew he was going to pull through.
He's definitely got the fight, for sure. Like when we first went in and saw him and he couldn't actually talk. But we're like, Dad, like you're going to push through, you're going to fight, and he just kept going like that.
Yeah, he kept sticking his fist in the air.
He kept sticking his fist in the air going, yeah, and I'm like, all right, cool, so you've got it in you.
Australia's Federation of Ukrainian Organisations say Vladimir Putin must be stopped in his tracks. Major rallies will be held around Australia after dozens of Russian missiles rained down on Ukrainian cities, including the capital Kiev. At least 11 people have been killed in the attacks. The Federation's co-chair, Stefan Romano, says it's time for Australia to draw a line.
We're also calling on the Australian government to recognise Russia as a terrorist state. We're also calling for the expulsion of the Russian ambassador Alexei Pavlovsky, and that hopefully, in a small way, we're saying to the world that Putin's reign of terror in Ukraine must be stopped.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
To footy first, and Isaac Rankin will speak to the media shortly after joining the Crows on a 3-year deal. Gold Coast received pick 5 in the long-awaited trade. Suns list manager Craig Cameron says the club is still in a good place despite losing the small forward.
We haven't actually had a lot of churn in the last 4 years. If you look at the guys that we've selected earlier in the draft, Ben King signed on, Jack Lukosius has signed on for a long-term deal. Both Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson signed on for longer-term deals, as did Sam Flanders, Elijah Hollands and Mac Andrew. So it's sort of one out of the box.
Meanwhile, Jason Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli joined Port Adelaide in a mega deal involving 4 clubs. To cricketer, Mark Taylor believes selectors must find a place for Steve Smith in Australia's T20 World Cup side. The prolific batsman has been left out from 2 of the past 3 games. To racing, and Red Bull has been found guilty of breaching Formula One's budget cap in 2021. They're yet to receive punishment from the FIA. And finally to golf, Dustin Johnson has pocketed $28.5 million after being crowned the inaugural Live Golf champion. And Mel, that sounds like a pretty good payday.
Yeah, it does indeed.
And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Looking like a pretty good run in today. No great hassle, simply some roadworks. Keep in mind, Adderburst Watermain, you'll find one of them at Fulham Gardens today. It's Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road, speeds down to 40 k's. Also got a lane out of action, Goodwood Road near Dawes Road at Door Park, speeds down to 40 there. We've got work slowing things up, Hampstead Road near Hargrove Street at Clearview, and we're slow going right now, South Road at Karratha Park. Cameras, you'll find one Church Terrace, Walkerville, and Gage Street at Firle. Sick of business paperwork? Employment Hero streamlines HR admin, so you can work easy. Sign up by October 26 for up to 3 months free. Search Employment Hero. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy, 24 for your Tuesday. Showers and 17 tomorrow. Thursday, showers increasing in 16. Friday, showers easing, 18. Right now, it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Race into Tyre Power and take pole position during the Great Race Sale. The crew from Tyre Power is giving you the power to buy 3 and get 1 free on selected Kumho tyres. Put your pedal to the metal and visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 during Tyre Power's Great Race Sale.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 8 shortly. We'll speak with Hannah Ford from 7 News about an incident at the remand centre where a corrections officer has been attacked. This is the second time this has happened in just over a week.
Crikey.
So we'll get to the bottom of that. I know the PSA are pretty disappointed with what's been transpiring there. We'll hear from Natasha Brown shortly as well. And then after 8 o'clock today, Grace Tame will be on the 5AA Breakfast program as well to talk about her new book. We've also got 5 packs of Gummersall wines to give away after 8 o'clock today. So we'll tell you how you can be part of that fun very shortly. But first, it's time to head off to Canberra to catch up with the political editor of the Australian Financial Review, Phil Curry. Morning to you, Phil.
Morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Phil, thought we might try to tidy up some of the confusion around what's going on with these Stage 3 tax cuts. You, along with other analysts last week and over the weekend, were quite scathing about the fact that Labor appeared to be crab-walking its way away from what was a sort of cast-in-stone election promise. What's the status of the tax cuts now?
Well, they're still crab-walking, but they've stopped for a while. So so there was the tax cuts come in, they start on July 1, 2024. And so about a week ago, the government sort of put up this, what they call flying a kite, just put this idea out there and test the reaction, and that they would wind them back. They would not abolish them, but just curb them at the top end a bit, try and save some money, and do that as early as the October 25 budget, which is 2 weeks away from today. And the reaction was pretty fierce, including from within the Labor Party. MPs and a lot of ministers just thought it was a bad idea because Labor had gone to the election solemn promise for these tax cuts, and it was a pretty bad look just 4 or 5 months after being elected to break a huge promise, especially when you've been elected on the basis of integrity, restoring integrity to politics. So they've put it on hold. They haven't, as some people have reported, scrapped the idea altogether. They're just not going to do it this budget, and because they don't start till 2024, they're going to sort of probably revisit it on the other side of Christmas and try and build a case to rein them in.
If we were
so they still haven't ruled out the broken promise, but I think they just need to make the case.
The biggest talking point politically in Europe and around much of the world for the last 12 months has been energy prices, and it looks like it's set to be here, Phil, with Alinta saying power prices could soar by 35% next year. Are you expecting the federal government to make a statement or do something about this today?
Look, not specifically. I mean, it's not what Jeff Demery's been saying. He's been saying privately for a while. I mean, we've got this absolute catastrophe at the moment where, energy prices are high, are getting pushed up, as a consequence of the war in the Ukraine. It's put the price of gas through the roof, and everyone's gouging, the gas has an impact on electricity prices. They're all linked, the gas price and the power price. But what Dimmery is saying too is that we're forcing towards renewables too quickly. We had this sort of plan. Everyone agrees you've got to shut down coal and go to renewables, but it's sort of getting ahead of steam now. We saw last week AGL is going to shut one of its biggest coal-fired power stations 10 years earlier than scheduled. And it's this sort of forced transition, which is pushing up the cost. I think Dimmery says he's going to find $8 billion somewhere to, meet these new timelines and stuff. So this is, I think, a danger for the Albanese government because they're very big on climate change and renewables, and that's good. That's a good thing. But if you don't get the pace of it right, I think the goodwill could erode pretty quickly. And what Dimmery is saying is, at the pace we're being pushed to the winter at the moment, the sort of outlays we'd need to make the transition, we've got to find all this money, and that equates, we're going to have to gouge people another 35% on the electricity bill. And so it's, it's not easy for the government. I mean, we were just talking about the tax cut, the potential broken promise. One of their other big promises was your power bill was going to go down by $275.
Wait, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Phil. Yeah. How on earth is anyone's power bill going to go down by $275 in the current climate?
Well, that promise, the Liberals are being a little bit sneaky on it because it was by 2025, it was going to be $275 cheaper by the end of the first term than it was when they got elected. But even so, there's just no prospect of that at the moment. And Labor's not made that promise once since the election. They made it, I think the Liberals came up 93 times before the election, and they no longer say it because I don't think they're confident it can even be remotely be achieved. Given what's going on at the moment, now some of the things are out of their control, some aren't. But it's just an absolute mess, the energy market once more, for a whole combination of factors, including the mess that it was when they inherited it. So, we'll watch this space.
Mm.
Sadly.
Great stuff.
Bad,
it is. At the moment, it certainly is. Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's sick of it, mate. Good stuff, Phil, as always.
Which report fan? Okay.
That's right.
That's right. Good on you, Phil. Phil Curry, political editor of the Australian Financial Review, getting some information through from Melbourne Airport too about the chaos there this morning. Released an official statement from Qantas, who have just issued this, saying a passenger appears to inadvertently have passed from an unscreened area to a screened area of the airport in Melbourne. As a precaution, all Qantas operations have been put on hold. Passengers in the terminal are being rescreened, which is causing delays to some services and that's the end of their statement, but it will likely cause flow-on effects around the country. If you're at the airport this morning, give us a call and let us know what the situation here is in Adelaide, 8223 0000. I just can't get my head around how twice in a month someone can inadvertently go from a unscreened area to a screened area. I don't understand the logistics of it.
No, me neither. It seems like the most tightly controlled sort of square meterage of earth in the country.
And how long are the delays going to be if they've had to get people off planes that are on the tarmac and everyone in the terminal back out of the terminal and through the gates getting wandered, check your bags and all that kind of stuff again? Be hours, surely.
It's amazing how much flying's changed in the last few years. Catching a plane to Melbourne used to be like catching a bus. You just rock up, half an hour before, check in online. If you had no hand luggage, you just saunter through, sit down, you'd be there an hour later. It was terrific.
It's going back the other way. Post-September 11, of course, the security protocols were so tight you could barely get within the airport without having some sort of screening process applied to you. And now you can get onto the plane.
Mm.
It's like 1994 all over again. You can just, here's my ticket. We'll keep an eye on that for you over the course of the morning as well. The other story that we're interested in getting some more information on is the most recent and second incident involving a corrections officer who has been attacked. It's something that Hannah Ford's been covering for 7 News. Hannah, good morning to you. Just get our listeners up to speed with both these incidents that have taken place.
Yeah, so the latest one happened on Sunday night, just after 5 o'clock. We understand that one of the prison guards was cornered into an office. One of the prisoners apparently threatened to pour boiling water over him and then used a mop handle and repeatedly hit him in the head. He was taken to hospital by a private car and has minor injuries. We're told he was discharged the same day, but still pretty nasty to be hit like that repeatedly. And it was only a few days before that it happened. A similar attack happened to 2 guards. They were again cornered in a management office. and one of them was hit about the head, again, injuries and taken to hospital by a private car. We understand that both of the separate incidents involved different prisoners, and so both of those prisoners have been moved to high security jails and different jails. So they've been removed from the system, but it wasn't a repeat offender, we know that. It was two separate prisoners and two separate very frightening incidents would have been for the guards.
Yeah.
We've spoken to the union who says, obviously, they're running on understaffing levels, and they have been for many years, since they were privatised in 2019. I've been trying to get some more figures about exactly how many staff are there. We've talked to Serco, who owns the prison now, obviously, and runs it, and they have been unable to provide those sort of numbers.
Good luck getting any figures like that out of Serco.
Yeah, exactly.
They used to run the Woomera Detention Centre, those people.
Right.
Yes.
They specialise in deportations and stuff like that, as well as running jails. But yeah, I mean, this is, I think, part of what happens when you get a profit-driven sort of agenda into something as sensitive as incarcerating people.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
idea that, that information's probably regarded by them as commercial in confidence. It's crazy.
Correct.
Well, that's all good and well until people are getting hurt.
Did they tell you, Hannah, which prisons the incidents happened in?
Yeah, so these are both at the remand centre.
Right, okay.
Both at the remand centre on Sunday afternoon. It's interesting, they were both around the same time each week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's definitely a staffing issue on that day, perhaps as well. But again, these are questions that we couldn't get answered by Serco. It was interesting that both of when you're getting bashed repeatedly by a prisoner at the head, that they weren't taken by ambulance at all. An ambulance wasn't called to either incident. They were taken by private car. No one could answer why it was that. Were they trying to get their, beat waiting for an ambulance, or are they trying to cover this up? I don't know. These are questions that we couldn't. That was the union's opinion, that perhaps they were trying to make sure these incidents go under the radar.
And do we know whether these guys, the prisoners, have been charged with anything yet?
I've spoken to SAPOL, who said both incidents are still under investigation.
Yeah, right.
So no charges laid as yet. But the union just says that this is happening a lot more. They're hearing these incidents a lot more. Yesterday, the PSA used the words that it was a prison in crisis. And because they don't know exactly what goes on in there either, because it's under such secrecy now, they're even more concerned.
Great report, Hannah.
Yeah, keep asking those questions. Hannah Ford for 7 News here in Adelaide at 12 minutes to 8. We're going to check traffic. Secure the last two-bedroom penthouse at Adelaide's most sought-after address. Visit 88o'Connell.com.
Thanks, Will. All the majors flying well today. However, do have a burst water main to look out for. That's at Fulham Gardens, Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road. Speeds down to 40 there. Got a lane closed, Goodwood Road near Dawes Road at Door Park. Speeds at 40. And keep an eye out for works today. Grange Road near Welland Avenue at Welland. Speeds are reduced. Busy at the moment. South Road is driving through Mireland with cameras. Chandler's Hill Road, Happy Valley. And the Esplanade at Port Nalunga South. Everything is on sale at Amart. Today, only get a minimum of 10 to 50% off store-wide. T's and C's apply. Stores are open late tonight, so hurry into Amart. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone.
Oceans without junk in them.
No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
Standard, then maybe Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens is not for you. But if those things are important, buyurban.com.au. Adelaide's home renovation experts.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers, for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar.
More and more South Australians are taking control of their energy bills with solar and battery storage. In fact, Australians are taking up battery storage in record numbers because they're sick of rising power bills and being locked into a system where someone else calls the shots. The other huge bonus of going with NRG solar and battery storage is that you'll be protected by blackouts with an uninterrupted power supply. Take control. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Sarah, I'm on bended knee and I'm asking, will you marry me?
Can I get back to you? Don't you hate waiting for things? Well, at Bob Burns Blinds, you won't have to. We can have your new roller blinds measured and installed in just 10 days. We make our blinds right here in Adelaide, not interstate, so there's no delay. You'll love the quality too. Do it. Say yes to Bob Burns Blinds and have them installed in 10 days or less. That's a promise. bobburnsblinds.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Nine minutes to 8. John Blake in a moment. Behind closed doors after 8:30, breaking at 8 after 8 o'clock, and 5 Gummersaw wine packs to give away as well after 8 o'clock.
Now, this next segment is something that Lucy and I cooked up yesterday, and Will's somewhat uncomfortable with it, which is one of the key reasons I am championing it with great enthusiasm. We're calling it Will and Alison's baby closest to the pin. Now, oh, the Supremes. That was our idea too, wasn't it, Luce? So it's this simple, folks. All you have to do is ring in now on 8223 0055. There's going to be a prize attached to this as well, and it's going to be a good one. You have to guess not only the date, but the time at which the miracle of Goodings creation will come to fruition. Just looking at my notes from yesterday, the range we've got so far is, because the due date is what, October 22nd? 22nd. So we're 11 days away. The range of guesses so far, Lindsay's got it happening this Saturday.
Oh, right.
At 8 p.m.
I've got to check my diary.
You're meant to be reading the news.
Yeah, that's a good point. 8 p.m.
This is Will Goodings. This is Will Goodings, and I'd better get going.
I better warn Rosanna.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
She'll be doing the last half of the news.
So we've got Tina from Mitchell Park, October 21st at 8:21. Sue from Christie's Beach. She's also gone October 15 this Saturday, except she's gone 3:15 in the morning. So you probably would be right to read the news.
That one I can do.
That day.
We can do that one.
That's right. Andrew in Craigmore. He's gone for the 24th at 3:36 p.m. Ross in Aberfoyle Park, 3:10 a.m. on the 21st of October, and Steve has gone for the 20th at 10:20 a.m. So hop to it, folks. Our lines are open now.
This sounds like you and Luce just trying to crowdsource an answer as to when you have to change the format of the program.
Well, that is part of it.
Kay in Mount Barker, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I think October 24 at 12:30, which is in the daytime, but just after lunch.
12:30 p.m.
Okay.
Beautiful, Kay.
That's a good one.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Let's go to Glenungus. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I love that baby music. It's great, isn't it?
It puts you to sleep, though. I'm dozing off here.
It puts you to something. I'll go the 21st of October at 2:02 a.m.
Okay.
That's this Sunday.
No, it's not. No, it's the
following week.
Following week. Andrew Woodcroft, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How you going?
Good, thanks, mate.
My guess is Sunday at 10 p.m.
This coming Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 p.m. this Sunday.
All
Yeah.
right. Karen in Westlake, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going the 1st of November at 6:30 a.m.
Holy smoke! That would be
1st of November. So that's a 9-day wait.
That would be well baked at that point in time. Our girl, Anne in Newton, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm going for the 18th at 11:07 a.m.
Thank
Lovely.
you. Anne,
Thanks, Anne.
that was. Tony in Two Wells, good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm going for the 25th at 11:55 p.m.
Thank you, Tony. I like everyone's doing this. We haven't even announced what the price is yet. It hasn't been organised. Greg in West Croydon, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going for October the 20th at 11:45 a.m.
This is the embodiment of this thing. Australians will sort of bet on two flies on the wall.
That's right.
Joe in Modbury Heights, good morning.
How you going, boy? I'll go October the 22nd, 2:23 p.m.
October 22nd, 2:23 p.m.
And Bill, the last one.
Good on you, Joe.
This morning. Morning to you, Bill.
2:23 p.m.
Bill, you got your radio on. What do you got? No, I think we got Bill's good.
Sorry, Bill.
Sorry, Bill. Got the radio on in the background there, mate. Apologies.
Well, there we go. Another 10 names for the kitty.
This prize is going to have to be good. This is the first time in radio history a competition was invented before the prize was sourced.
Well, you know, if you expected anything professional, given my involvement. I mean, you were here last week when we were trying to give away cheese tickets. We know how well that went. But, no, you're right. Australians they'll bet on anything.
Prize, dunno.
Yeah, I won this in the Will and Allison baby sweep. Yeah.
All right. Let's give it over to John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution Warehousing and local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
The latest news with Wallace Fogg. Good morning, early risers. This is Wallace Fogg with another 5AA news update. Firstly, some shocking news that some may find disturbing. The Adelaide City Council has been accused of dragging its heels on a major project. Find that hard to believe. Education Minister Blair Boyer says the $98 million expansion of Adelaide Botanic High School to allow for 700 more pupils is being held up by the Adelaide City Council, who seem to be backing away from the project. Lord Mayor Sandy Verschaw said she signed off on the project, but then the election came along and delayed the whole thing. Blair Boyer said he wants the project finished by the start of the 2024 school year, and there are other methods that the government can use to get the project underway, like telling the City Council that they are nothing more than a bunch of rowdy school kids themselves, and if they don't watch out, they'll find they might be suspended or even expelled. They'll have to find another town hall to play in. A council whistleblower said the Lord Mayor has contacted the Adelaide Football Club and offered them the Botanic High School space for their new training facilities, but on the condition they share it with the students. In other boring news about boring politicians, Lord Mayoral candidate Rex Patrick has called for a parliamentary inquiry into the government's proposed building of the Women's and Children's Hospital on the police barracks site. So that in itself shows that if Rex Patrick becomes Lord Mayor, hardly anything will change at the town hall apart from the toilet seat being left up. Greens MLC Robert Sims and opposition leader David Spears say they support the idea of a parliamentary inquiry, which shows that in this town, even if it's women and children, they have to wait for stuff to happen just like everybody else. And finally, Meghan Markle's been slammed in the press again. And that's the news for this Tuesday. I'm Wallace Fogg. More 5AA news coming up at 8 o'clock, or as close as we can get.
Minute to 8. Breaking at 8 coming up very shortly. 5AA news on the way next. 5 Gummersaw wine packs will be given away on this program, though, before 8:30. Stay listening.
Top of the list? First pick, numero uno. If you've been dreaming of choosing a new Mazda, Mawson Lakes Mazda want to give you preferential treatment. New stock has arrived, and right now you can take first pick of the Mazda range and lock in an amazing deal. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. See the new stock available for delivery now. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. For October only, the manufacturers of our fabulous 20mm thick outdoor pavers have up to half the prices for National Tiles customers exclusively. Yes, for October only, the manufacturers of our fabulous 20mm thick outdoor pavers have up to half the prices for National Tiles customers exclusively. Easy to lay and easy to clean, National Tiles fabulous outdoor pavers at up to half price, but only for October and only at National Tiles.
Kate Collins and Brendan Raglas, the faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 24 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion has individual sessions and classes claimable on private health and NDIS.
Police are investigating a spate of vandalism attacks on cars parked near the convention centre overnight. At least 7 were damaged, with number plates and windscreen wipers ripped off or bent, side mirrors damaged and panels dented or scratched. Senior Constable Dave Muir says it's possible other cars in the vicinity of Festival Drive were also impacted.
We are asking anyone who may have had their vehicle parked at that location or even nearby and have discovered some damage to give us a call at the police assistance line on 131 444. And anyone with information whatsoever is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
If you think power prices are through the roof now, there's much worse to come, according to one of our biggest electricity providers. Alinta Chief Executive Jeff Dimery has told an energy conference in Sydney that using the current market prices, tariffs will next year rise by a minimum of 35%. Origin Energy has backed up the claim, saying wholesale prices indicate a leap in electricity prices is likely to hit the market once new tariffs are set in July 2023. Changes to food labels will be discussed during a major conference on obesity next week. There's a push to include how much physical exercise would be required to work off unhealthy food choices. But Head of Food Policy at the George Institute for Global Health, Professor Simon Pettigrew, says it's unlikely to get off the ground in Australia.
That kind of measure around, well, this is this many steps or you've got to run for this long is nice and simple. But that energy expenditure is just one element. There are kind of other attributes of foods that are probably more important, like the salt content and the sugar content, etc. So we need labelling that can better encapsulate all of that.
Water ministers from around the country will meet in Canberra today to discuss the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. Deputy SA Premier and Water Minister Susan Close will be calling for the 450 gigalitres promised to SA, but not yet delivered. Reports show upstream states are not achieving their water-saving targets, and it's left SA shortchanged and vulnerable to drought. Travellers heading to the United States won't get as much bang for their buck. It comes after the Australian dollar dipped to its lowest level since the start of the pandemic, sitting at just over 63 US cents. Craig James from Comsec says the Aussie dollar is faring better elsewhere.
Planning that trip overseas to the United States, you may not be overly happy about it, but we can give you some solace in the fact that the Aussie dollar is up against every other major currency, particularly the Japanese yen, up around about 11%. So if you were looking for your holidays, perhaps go to Japan.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is vowing more missile attacks on Ukraine in the wake of the heaviest bombardments on the city in months. Brett McLeod reports.
The Russian leader admitted the targeting of Kyiv and other cities was in retaliation for what he labelled Ukraine's terrorist attack on the bridge linking Russia and Crimea. At least 11 people were killed and many more injured in the blasts, although dozens of Russian missiles were blown up in flight by Ukrainian defences. The rockets and drones hit some critical infrastructure, as well as roads and a playground. Germany will deliver the first of 4 long-awaited advanced air defence systems to Ukraine in the next few days, as G7 leaders discuss further responses.
And Kenneth Branagh is stepping into Hercule Poirot's shoes again. He's announced a 3rd movie starring the Agatha Christie detective called A Haunting in Venice. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with trade news, and it's been a massive 24 hours for both the Power and the Crows. Jason Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli have joined Port Adelaide in one of the biggest trade deals in history. The mega deal involved 6 first-round picks between 4 AFL clubs. Meantime, Isaac Rankin finally landed at West Lakes after joining Adelaide on a 3-year deal.
Hey guys, Isaac Rankin here. I'm officially signed on. I hope you do too. Can't wait to see Adelaide next year.
Still on footy, and Crows head of football Adam Kelly has confirmed that All-Australian midfielder Matt Crouch will be at the club next year.
As we've communicated, he's contracted for next year. He certainly hasn't requested a trade through this period, so we expect him to be in the Crows colours next year.
To cricket, and Steve Smith's omission from Australia's T20 side has left cricket legend Mark Taylor stunned. The prolific batsman has been left out from 2 of the past 3 games.
You look at someone like Steve Smith, he's an out-and-out class player, so I would find it hard as a selector not to have him in there somewhere.
In the EPL, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest played out a 1-1 draw. To racing, and Red Bull has been found guilty of breaching Formula One's budget cap in 2021. They're yet to receive punishment from the FIA. And how's this for dedication? Ahead of his lightweight title fight, boxer George Kambosos Jr. has been sleeping in his gym. The Aussie faces Devin Haney on Sunday in a rematch and says to get in the zone, he even sent his wife and children overseas on holiday. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Looking pretty good for the drive-in today. Simply a burst water main to keep in mind. You'll find that at Fulham Gardens today. Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road, speeds down to 40 k's. Other roadworks you might bump into on the drive-in include ones at Sir Donald Rabin Drive near Clifford's Road, Brooklyn Park. Got a lane closed Goodwood Road near Dawes Road at Door Park, and got a few cameras around for the drive-in too. You'll find one Glenburn Road, Burnside, and another one Hay Road at Linden Park. Want to snag yourself a bargain? Shop epic deals on electronics, homewares, beauty and more with Amazon's Big Smile Sale. Live now at amazon.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA weather, partly cloudy 24 today, showers and 17 tomorrow, then Thursday showers increasing and 16. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
When you switch to Aldi, you'll save more on everyday items like fresh produce. And then you can spend more on other things like a refreshing massage at the spa. That's the spot. So don't change your lifestyle, change your supermarket. In fact, why not go to Aldi now to see just how much you can save on your weekly shop? I'll be there after my facial. Aldi, good, different.
What I enjoy about retirement living is it's a much easier life than what my husband and I had before. We feel secure, we're happy, and we just enjoy ourselves.
No lawns to be mowed, no edges to be cut. Look forward to happy hour at 4 o'clock. It's perfect.
I've got no regrets at all. It's the best move I made.
For many people who make the move to an FIVEAA retirement community, it's time to look forward to a fresh new chapter. What will you look forward to? Search FIVEAA First Step for your free First Step guide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 8, and good morning to you. You're watching along on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream this morning. We'll take you through some of the developing headlines of the morning, including Harvey Weinstein's trial beginning in Los Angeles very, very shortly. We've also got 5 Gomersil wine packs that we'll be giving away before 8 o'clock. And then after 8:30, Grace Tame on 5AA Breakfast.
Well, for those of you who, like me, have pretty clear memories of how the 1999 Republican referendum fell apart at the seams, I think that, and I say this with a sense of frustration as someone who broadly supports the idea in principle, I think it's starting to look like the push for a voice to Parliament is at risk of suffering a similar fate to the yes vote on a Republic back in 1999. There's a remarkable story in today's Advertiser by a former colleague of mine, Matt Denholm, who's now the Tasmanian correspondent for the national newspaper. Matt reveals that there's been secret meetings held between a bunch of Conservative politicians, including former Liberal candidate and Indigenous activist Warren Mundine, who's a very sort of, pro-private sector, self-reliant sort of person in the Indigenous policy space. And he's met with someone who is absolutely sort of ideologically poles apart from him, and that is the firebrand Indigenous Greens Senator Lydia Thorpe. They had a meeting last Wednesday where they have been talking, because the Greens hate the Voice because they think that it's sort of, tokenistic nonsense, and that rather than us all sort of sitting around talking about things, they want full treaty/reparations for what they regard as the full-blown Indigenous sort of, desecration by the colonial powers. Lydia Thorpe's the woman who wouldn't do the oath of allegiance at first to the Queen, and came into the parliamentary chamber clenching a fist. So what we're seeing is this sort of alliance between people on the extreme left and people on the right who, for their own different reasons, hate this. At the same time, the veteran Indigenous activist from Tasmania, Michael Mansell, who has been prominent for more than probably 30 years as one of the more extreme Indigenous activists in Australia, he's come out and said, no, we don't need a voice. What we need is to change the Constitution so that each of the 6 states and 2 territories have one Senate spot that is set aside at each election that can only be filled by an Indigenous person. So you'd have guaranteed Indigenous representation from every state. I mean, I would have thought that at a time when we've got, 11 First Nations people in the Parliament, that's sort of happening organically anyway. The problem is, though, if everyone's running around, and the backdrop to it is that there's a sort of natural sense of inertia in the middle of a cost of living crisis where a lot of people, as they did with the Republic, go, look, I don't understand it. Haven't we got bigger things to worry about? Power bills are going to go up 35% next year. It's, I think, looking increasingly unlikely that the Albanese government, which is backing this, is going to get it over the line. To this end, I reckon what happens in South Australia over the next sort of year is going to be really important, because SA is probably going to be the only state where you have a sort of collegiate and congenial bipartisanship over the concept of the voice. I'm pretty sure that under David Spear's leadership, the Liberals will support what Labor is proposing. And Kaya Ma, when I spoke to him back in July, he said that he wanted South Australia to get its own version of the voice up and running next year. And he said at the time that hopefully that model will assuage some of the concerns that people have got elsewhere. When they see how it works here, they'll know that it's not the sort of bogeyman concept that some of its critics are suggesting it will be. But frankly, when you look at that story in the Oz this morning, and you reflect on it in the context of what happened in 1999, and also the fact that Australia is, we've backed 4 referenda out of... It
almost never happens.
Hardly ever. I think it's looking, sadly, like an increasingly long shot.
13 minutes after 8, we've been monitoring the situation at Melbourne Airport this morning for you, given that with the expectation fully is that there'll be residual delays are at airports right around the country as a byproduct of a screening mishap in Melbourne, where all the Qantas terminal in Melbourne had to be evacuated and re-screened because, according to Qantas's own statement, a passenger inadvertently passed from an unscreened area to a screened area. So they took everyone out of the airport, including those that were in planes on the tarmac, and re-screened absolutely everyone. The Today Show was at the airport and spoke to some of the people who'd been impacted by the delays.
I mean, the pilot pretty much told us straight away that, that there was somebody that slipped through the terminal, they evacuated us pretty much straight away. I think we were basically the last people to get evacuated as well.
We'll be in the second batch funneling our way through this crowd. It's just total disorganisation. I think Qantas wouldn't be taken across the culture. This is appalling.
You go to the airport knowing a delay's a chance, but I reckon by the time you're sitting in your seat on the tarmac, you'd think, oh, thank God we got away with that. And then you find out, no, you've got to go back through and do it all again.
What a
total disaster. If you're at the airport this morning, give us a call. Let us know if there are any delays here in Adelaide. They're already beginning to filter through. Big story playing out in the United States today. Harvey Weinstein will be back on trial in Los Angeles. He's facing 11 further charges of abuse, currently serving 23 years jail in New York. He was convicted there for sexual assaults, including rape. These new charges and allegations of assault and rape allegedly took place in Los Angeles hotels between 2004 and 2013. He denies these charges, so he's fighting this accusation. On Sunrise, they caught up with US Attorney Gloria Allred, who has represented one of the victims in the previous case and is representing one of the alleged victims in this LA case. Here's what she had to say.
Well, this will be the second. The first, of course, was in New York. That criminal case resulted in his conviction. I represented the key prosecution witness, Mimi Haley, in that case, and he was convicted of criminal sexual assault of Mimi and sentenced on that charge alone to 20 years in state prison in New York. He was also convicted of rape in the third degree of another victim in that case that I did not represent, so for a total of 23 years in prison. But the New York Court of Appeals, which is the highest court in New York State, has decided to hear Mr. Weinstein's appeal of that conviction next year.
So we're going to be hearing a lot more about Harvey Weinstein before our courts over the course of the next 24 months.
Does he have to physically appear in court, or does he do it by a video link?
That is an excellent
He'd
question.
probably do it by video link,
I would have
particularly if he's in jail in New York and this trial is happening in LA.
Oh, no, he's at least he's saying he's physically going to LA.
Wow. Because those photographs that emerged of him last year was the first time he'd been seen since he was jail, where he's on a walking frame. He looks like
frail.
A total wreck.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a creep of a bloke, isn't he?
Completely. Yeah, well, 23 years would suggest yes, and more counts to come. 23 years is a nice, good sentence, I think.
Yeah, I'll say. They don't stuff around in the States, do
no,
they?
They don't. They totally understand it. There was a remarkable scene that played out at Aldinga Airport yesterday. 9 News covered the case of the small plane that was forced to land without landing gear.
Coming into land with no wheels.
Hey guys, stand by for all information. Plane's about to come in now. Please be ready.
We gave him a clap when he landed. But very lucky, man.
Yeah, the pilot on board had to circle until he was running low on fuel. The fire department effectively lined the tarmac with fire retardant to make sure the whole thing wouldn't burst into flames. You'd imagine there are sparks when metal is just grinding over tarmac, but he managed to land it without
an amazing landing.
Really, any significant damage being done.
The other thing I thought, the guy's got ice in his veins. He's sort of the King G generation. The moment that he landed, I reckon if that was me, I'd have the window already open. I'd just sprint out like a lunatic. But he just sauntered out of his leather satchel with his gear in it. Just,
cool as a cucumber. I
Yeah.
reckon it would be a lot of people's worst nightmare if they... I mean, it was a small plane, so there was no intercom. It wasn't like it was a 747. But if the pilot ever said, hey, we don't have the landing gear, so we're going to give this a run, just sort of gliding it in, people with certainly a flight phobia's worst nightmare. For the Gummersaw wine packs this morning, 5 people will win it. Tell us what your worst nightmare would be. What's your worst nightmare? 8223 0000. Get calling now. First 5 through that nominate will win a Gummersaw wine pack. Sam Daddo. Now, Sam's been our Bathurst correspondent. He's a versatile man of many talents. Also has a pilot's license. Now, we were talking about this yesterday. How do I phrase this?
You are a Renaissance man. aren't you, Sam?
This is something to us mere mortals that seems incredible, but to pilots, you're kind of across the process to land without the gear.
Yes. Now, I would put it to you that if it was a 747 landing with no landing gear on a tarmac full of people, that is quite a worry because it could catch into flames and people need to get out in time.
Yep.
But when it's a plane with one pilot on their own, it's just a landing.
Well, it's
like,
just
to me, it is the most over-dramatised thing in the
without,
world.
It's a landing without any wheels.
Yeah, but so you don't have a second go.
The wheels are there for a reason.
But at the same time, he hopped out like nothing had happened because he landed the plane.
Are you saying it's easy?
I've never done it. I'll put that out there. But at the same time, he landed. That's all I've got. I don't know.
That he did. Do you get do you get taught to do it?
Yeah, because you got to come in at different speeds.
Okay.
You got less drag, no landing gear. You got to take into account for all the different variations.
Do you have to pretend that like the engine's failed when you're
I've done that plenty of times, yeah. So you got to pretend.
Seriously?
Yeah. So
mate.
you got to stole the plane on purpose a couple of times. I've done that.
I'll lend you my Matic, and you can get into gardening.
Should
mate.
take you up one day.
There's easy, mate.
I've flown in for 18
wild
months.
horses would not get me up there. And that's not a reflection on you. I wouldn't do it with anybody.
That's Undy Drive next
I
year.
wouldn't do it with that Sully guy who landed on the Hudson River.
I'd be keen to go up with the guy who just described an emergency landing as a piece of cake. I think that's actually made me more confident. Thank you, Sam. 8223 0000, your worst nightmare. Get calling now. First 5 through will win a Gomersil wine pack. Let's check traffic. Secure the last 2-bedroom penthouse at Adelaide's most sought-after address. Visit 88o'connell.com.
Thanks, Will. At Highgate, you'll find urgent civil works, Fullerton Road near Cheltenham Street at Highgate. At Fulham Gardens, first Waterway, Taplers Hill Road near Valletta Road, speeds out of 40. Busy at the moment, South Road at Karratha Park. And got a few things to look out for on the drive-in, including a lane close at Hampstead Road near Hargraves Street at Clearview and a camera at Barnes Road at Glyn. Lane closes on the Old Murray Bridge tomorrow till Friday until 5:30pm for major works. Details at dit.sa.gov.au/Old Murray Bridge. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The next generation of mighty South Aussies have spoken.
Equal rights for everyone. Oceans without junk in them. No nasty chemicals in things.
Search Sustainable 7 to hear more about what the future's got in store for Foodland.
Okay, that is a reboot for next year. That is more than a double thumbs up. That's cartwheels off the Hemel Jetty.
Rowie and Timmy G.
I was hoping it was going sideways, but you got me.
4pm weekdays on 5AA.
New Zealand, spectacular, safe and friendly. The perfect destination for a magical getaway. Right now, Holiday Wonders have a value-packed 17-day fully inclusive package. It's truly unbelievable value. Fly direct from Adelaide with Air New Zealand touring North and South Islands with meals, accommodation and so much included. More highlights than any comparable New Zealand holiday. Departs Friday the 3rd of February or 3rd of March 2023. Call now or visit holidaywonders.com.au.
Listen up. When we take control, we hold the key to ageing in our hands. Live Up is your new healthy ageing guide that can be accessed via phone, iPad or computer. Enjoy free expert advice, personalised support and community connections to help you age your way. Discover more at liveup.org.au. Live Up. Welcome to the upside of ageing.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar here. Everything is going up. We're seeing it in fuel, interest rates, in our everyday shop, even the humble lettuce. But there's one thing that's really going to bite. It's the hike in electricity, and it's not going away unless you do something about it. At NRG Solar, we'll show you how to zero out your energy bills with NRG solar panels and battery storage. So get in touch with NRG Solar today and start saving. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
Kate Collins and Brendan Raglas, the faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 after 8. Having to land a plane without the gear. Be a lot of people with a flight phobia's worst nightmare. We want to talk about your worst nightmares. First 5 callers through, we're getting a Gomersil wine pack. Ben in Christie's Beach, good morning.
Morning, boys. How are you?
Good, thanks, Ben.
So when I was a bit younger, I had a reoccurring dream that I went out on a fishing boat with a group of guys, and everything was fine. And then they turned the motor off. The motor didn't start, and we were stuck out there. And then obviously it's a dream, but the boat starts taking on water. It goes down, and then one by one, all the people in this dream drop off, and I'm on my own in the dark in the middle of the ocean, looking down, and all I can see is shadows swimming around in the water. The very first time I went out on a boat, the engine was having difficulties, so I began having a slight panic attack, and then had to lay down, which apparently isn't good to do on a boat because that's pretty early for everybody around if you lay down.
So, Benny, you're ringing us from the boat now?
No, I've only been on a boat twice since then, and I've noticed that I get horribly seasick. So I'll stick to flat land.
That's all right. Have a carton of wine on the flat land. Gummersall coming your way, Ben. Thank you. Grace in Highgate. Good morning.
Good morning, boys. My dad actually has a small plane, and I always make him check every time we go up that there's nothing that's come in the doors, and that once we're up in the air, I don't have any little animals or a snake or a spider crawling over me, and I can't get out.
Snakes on a plane?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, no.
Would you say, Grace, that you'd had it up to here with the... Sorry.
Thank you, Grace.
We won't do the quote.
That wasn't the quote. Grace, you've got the Gummersall wines coming your way. Michael and Semaphore, good morning.
Yeah, hey, guys.
Hey, mate.
I actually lived mine. It was kind of a worst nightmare as a kid. Well, I got when I was a young fella, I got a dragster for Christmas. My dad put it together, and I went for a ride up in the hills, and I was coming down the hill, and the handlebars had the big high-rise handlebars just dropped down below me, and all of a sudden I had no brakes and no steering, and I was hammering down this hill. So,
mate, how'd you emerge from that the other side?
I just had to crash it.
Oh no!
Yeah, because there's a road at the bottom. So,
did you get badly hurt?
Grazes and stuff.
Okay.
Skin knees. Yeah, but yeah. So every time I jump on my bike now, just make sure the handlebar's secure.
Thank you, Michael. Christine in Paralowie, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How are you?
Good, thanks, Christine.
I break out in a sweat whenever we go over a bridge because I have flashbacks on the news about the bridge falls down and collapses, and we would be the car teetering over the edge, and somebody would come up behind us and just whack us into the water, and we'd be sinking down in the water. And as we're going down and the windows are up, I'd be thinking, do I slowly wind down the windows? Do I wait and let the water come up to the roof of the car and me trying to breathe and not panic? Or do I open the door slowly? How do I get out? And quite often I think of that, and it's just so frightening.
That's a two-part nightmare. The bridge collapse followed by the drowning in the car.
A bit going on there.
Yeah. Thanks, Christine. And I think the last one winning the wine pack is Sam in Theberton. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, boys. My worst nightmare is you're in mid-flight and the window pops.
Oh,
And you get sucked out. I'm so paranoid that the window will pop and out you go.
Just ask for an aisle seat, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. I've got some few more on the line that want to declare their nightmares. Anna in Trinity Gardens, good morning.
Oh, hi. Being stuck in a lift, 52 floors up high.
Being stuck in a lift, full stop.
You've been stuck in a lift, haven't you?
Last year with the kids for almost 2 hours.
Ugh, it was no fun.
With the poor old lady who was down from Brisbane on holidays.
Not much of a holiday. Rob in Summerton Park, good morning.
Hi, guys. 2 years ago, I went back to England, and the trains had all changed. They'd gone from normal trains to these smooth things with the doors that shut automatically and things. So I've gone off to the toilet, and I'm stood there doing a lot of PV, and suddenly the door opened. It's not a door, the whole wall just rolled back, and I'm stood in the middle of this room peeing with people just looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and the actual button to close it again was about 5 feet away, so I had to sort of stop midstream and hop across and hit the button.
Rob,
I never went back.
I've witnessed that happening in Europe on a new train. I think we were in Germany, and it happened to a girl was using the bathroom and didn't, for whatever reason, you've got to engage the lock or push something, but it's all automated. So the door, unbeknownst to just reopened and the whole carriage was sitting there. We're all staring at each other. It was a very uncomfortable moment for all involved. Last one, Tony in Darwin. Good morning.
With work up here, we do a lot of light plane flying, and if it's a charter and it's just me, I'll jump in the sort of co-pilot seat. Anyway, we took off one day and the actual door flew open once we got up to about 1,000 feet. So I'm sort of looking down, and the pilot said, "What are you worried about? You got the seatbelt on?" I said, "So I'm worried about like 2 inches of material stopping me from sort of plummeting about 1,000 feet." So he was quite calm about it, but I can tell you I wasn't.
Good on you, Tony.
With reason.
Hey, great stories. If you missed out on the wine, you can still buy yourself some, and you can do it with 40% off store-wide. All you need to do is go to the Gomersil Wines website and use the code 5AA40, FIVEAA 40, and
good for Christmas.
You
Stock
get
up now.
40% off Gomersil Wines. Only 5AA listeners get this. FIVEAA 40. Go buy some wine. Stock up for Christmas, as David said. We're going to take a break. Grace Tame next.
There are some promises we just can't keep. Like, one day we'll take the whole family to Disneyland. Or, I'll definitely start my fitness regime tomorrow. At Bob Burns Blinds, we have a promise we always keep. It's our 10-day installation promise. Unlike others, our quality roller blinds are made right here in SA, not interstate. So instead of waiting 3 months or more for your roller blinds, we'll do it in 10 days. And that's a promise. bobburnsblinds.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
Parking in the city hasn't worked out well for more than half a dozen drivers. Their vehicles were vandalised overnight while parked near the Torrens on the western side of the Morfett Street Bridge. Police are investigating after number plates and mirrors were ripped off and windscreen wipers broken. Dents and scratches have also been reported. A 29-year-old man of no fixed address has been arrested and charged with property damage after smashing a glass door at a business at St Mary's last night. Senior Constable Dave Muir says he's now got a date with the courts.
Just before 9:30, police were called to a business showroom on South Road near Celtic Avenue after reports a man had kicked the glass door, causing it to smash. Patrols conducted a search of the area, located the suspect a few streets away.
The Federal Treasurer is heading overseas today for a series of high-level economic meetings which will help frame this month's budget. Michael Packey has more.
Jim Chalmers leaves for Washington later today, where he'll hold talks with the bosses of the Federal Reserve, World Bank and International Monetary Fund. The high-level meetings will focus on the problems facing the global economy and how it feeds into Australia. The Treasurer has already signalled a tight budget ahead, partly as a result of the international downturn. The latest Resolve strategic poll suggests most voters would like the government to cut spending in areas like defence and pour the money into health and the NDIS.
At least 11 people have been killed and many are fighting for their lives after missiles rained down on cities across Ukraine. The nation's capital, Kiev, was targeted during peak hour with civilian sites and key infrastructure hit. Vladimir Putin says the attacks are in retaliation for an explosion on the Crimean Bridge. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country is dealing with terrorists.
We're dealing with terrorists, dozens of rockets, Iranian Shahid drones hitting the energy facilities all over the country. Ukraine existed before this enemy, and Ukraine will exist after this enemy. Glory to Ukraine.
Disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein is back on trial over allegations of rape and sexual assault, this time in Los Angeles. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley is at the courthouse.
Harvey Weinstein was extradited to Los Angeles to face 11 allegations from 5 different women spanning 9 years, including an Oscars week prosecutors say was pivotal. The 70-year-old has already been tried and convicted and sentenced to 23 years jail over different allegations in New York. The investigation that led to those charges was one of the biggest triggers of the Me Too movement. Harvey Weinstein has pleaded not guilty, but if convicted here in California, he could face life in prison.
Now Turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. We'll begin with footy, and Isaac Rankin will front the media in just over an hour after joining Adelaide on a 3-year deal. The Crows essentially gave up pick 5 for the small forward. Gold Coast list manager Craig Cameron says the club is still in a good place despite losing the 22-year-old.
We haven't actually had a lot of churn in the last 4 years. If you look at the guys that we've selected earlier in the draft, Ben King signed on, Jack Lukosius has signed on for a long-term deal. Both Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson signed on for longer-term deals, as did Sam Flanders, Elijah Hollins and Mac Andrew. So it's sort of one out of the box.
Still on trade news, and GWS has made a surprise late bid for Hawthorn star midfielder Jager O'Meara. AFL journalist Cal Toomey revealed the Giants' bold plan on the Today Show.
Well, he was at Stephen Cornelio's wedding over the weekend and very good friends with the Giants co-captain. And what happens next is going to be very interesting because the Giants are interested in luring him across the border up to Sydney before deadline day. Contracted at the Hawks, could be on the move though to a third club.
In the EPL, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest played out a 1-1 draw. And finally to golf, Dustin Johnson has received a massive payday, pocketing $28.5 million after being crowned the inaugural Live Golf Champion. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Elizabeth Grove, we've got a 2-car smash on Main North Road at Fairfield Road. At Highgate, urgent civil works there, Fullerton Road near Fisher Street. At Fulham Gardens, Burstwater Main, Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road, speeds out of 40 with a left-hand lane closed. And we're getting quite busy on the drive-in South Road at Karata Park. Got a few cameras, look out for those. Lander Road, Shadow Park, and you'll find another one, South Terrace in the city. Who can make your home loan work harder? The refinanciers from Aussie. Let's talk home loans at aussie.com.au or come in store today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA weather, partly cloudy, 24 today, then down to 17 tomorrow with showers. Thursday, showers increasing 16. Right now, it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Like shocks shooting through your body.
That's how some people describe their shingles pain. Shingles is caused by the reactivation of the chickenpox virus. While most people recover fully, up to 25% may experience long-term complications.
I had to cancel all my plans and struggled to work.
Up to 1 in 3 people risk developing shingles in their lifetime.
If you're 50 or over, don't let shingles affect your plans.
Talk to your doctor for more information. Individual symptoms may vary. Sponsored by GlaxoSmithKline Australia, Melbourne.
What's got Mike singing? Mike just got an energy-efficient heat pump installed by EcoVantage. Not only is it using nearly 80% less energy than his old hot water system and saving hundreds off his power bills, he got it for free. Thanks to federal and SA government incentives, you can get your own energy-efficient heat pump from just $0. Pump your energy bills down with EcoVantage. Visit ecovantage.com.au.
When My Living Outdoors say they take care of everything in your decking, veranda or pergola project, they mean it. And David, you've experienced it firsthand when they built your new veranda.
I did, Will, and it is a thing of beauty. The whole process was great. It was a smooth, first-class experience from start to finish, thanks to the seasoned builders that they use at My Living Outdoors. And the whole thing was taken care of. Everything from design and council approval to construction was sorted.
And their motto is, good enough doesn't cut it. That attention to detail creates decks, verandas and pergolas you're going to love for a lifetime.
I tell you what, mine's more than a year old. It looks absolutely brand new. I was just sitting out under it last night. And part of the reason that My Living Outdoors are so good is that Adelaide's top tradies love working with them. Michael and his team, they know that happy tradies care more, so they'll give your home improvements the attention and the care that they deserve.
Visit mylivingoutdoors.com.au and take advantage of their spring sale. Get up to 15% off any carport, decking or veranda project and up to 20% off outdoor blind or roller shutter installation. But hurry, offer ends October 31st.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Falcon Zeek ZE914 car tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for cost-saving, fuel efficiency and performance. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires. 5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Our next guest shot to prominence as the 2021 Australian of the Year, becoming what she describes in her new memoir as, quote, the catalyst for a tidal wave of conversation and action. The memoir is called The Ninth Life of a Diamond Miner, and the author is, of course, Grace Tame. Grace, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on the book. Reflecting on the book...
Oh, thanks, Dave.
No worries. Look, reflecting on the book, but also a significant part of your life story, how important was it for you to find a voice to speak out about what happened to you and what you survived?
Oh, look, and just to clarify, Dave, in saying, that the catalyst was not necessarily me. I think the catalyst was, a collective voice, and it was the spotlighting of the issue itself, and I'm just one of many voices. It's 1 in 6 boys and it's 1 in 4 girls that's abused before their 18th birthday, and by spotlighting such an inherently dark and complex issue as child sexual abuse, what that does is produce a unique set of circumstances wherein we can demystify that and return power to the people who've been through that issue, as opposed to the perpetrators of that issue who for so long have operated in the silence and they've operated in secrecy. And so, to just be a part of that movement is really special for someone like me. To sit back and witness it as an observer and not just as a participant has also been really special. So to write a book is something that is very rare, especially as a survivor of abuse, but also as a person. And so I don't take that opportunity lightly. And why it's so important is, as something that I don't think a lot of people understand when you tell your story, not just as a survivor, but to tell the story to the media. Because the machinations, I think, and you might understand this as somebody who works in this industry, the machinations of what goes on behind the scenes aren't necessarily clear to people who consume the media in the public.
Yeah.
Because when you surrender control to, a journalist or to, a reporter, what you're doing is actually, you might do, for example, if you do television, you might do a really long-winded interview that might take place over, a number of days. And what happens is after you do that interview, you don't really see it. Rarely if ever are you actually involved in the whole process. There's a team of editors who will chop it down and they'll only take piecemeal bits.
Yeah.
And even though people work in good faith, most of the time, sometimes the questions aren't conducive to the best answers coming forth. And, it's an inherently re-traumatizing process, especially if you're talking about something as complex and dark and, again, re-traumatizing as child sexual abuse. And so, I, for example, have, I'm still only 12 years into processing my experience that, naturally only bits and pieces are going to rise to the surface at a time, and I'm doing that under intense scrutiny. I'm also doing it as someone who's got autism, and even though I present as being someone who's got, a vast vocabulary, sometimes people assume more knowledge than I have, and also, only a little, I still have people who were also abused or alleged that they were abused by this man who come forward to me with new information that then makes pieces of my own puzzle fall into place I didn't have at the time when I disclosed, when I was still only 16 and still sort of, I guess, in the spell, if you will, of this man who I, in ways, was defending because I was terrified of him. So it's like, how can you get all of that out in one go? And how could I have got all of that out even, in a 30-minute speech at the press club, for example, or how could I get it out in a 10-minute radio interview? You can only do so much in certain circumstances at a time. So to have the luxury, if you will, of writing a book, which even still was a pressurized and deadlined, experience, to have that chronology was the first time that I've ever actually delineated the abuse, backed by evidence, with witness statements, with, a disclosure from a survivor who, experienced this man's targeting back in, the early 90s before I was even born. It was such an empowering, it was confronting, but it I hope, helps actually provide a blueprint for other survivors who, even if they don't see themselves in me, but also, and non-survivors alike, to help, to provide a blueprint for people to understand so much more about this issue.
Looking back at the experience of being Australian of the Year, did you find it rewarding or was it frustrating? How would you describe it?
It was a huge honour for me. I could not be more proud to have been the first survivor, the first public survivor, known survivor of child sexual abuse to have ever been named an Australian of the Year. I don't take that lightly. I would never take that lightly. But it was also an experience that I probably wouldn't wish upon anybody else because of the sheer, the weight of it. It's not an easy thing to do. I wouldn't lie to you, Dave, and say that it was all roses, because it wasn't. It's really, really hard. That I was lucky in that when I was younger, I lived briefly in a pretty toxic place that is the city of Los Angeles, and I left there for the reason of it being a sort of not a very healthy environment. And I had the opportunity to get an insight into what that life can be if you don't make the right choices. And you come to junctions in your life and you can go, all right, well, a platform can be many things. And I think, again, this is another opportunity to go, all right, well, I think some people think that having a platform just means that it's all glamorous and it's all this and it's all that, or like you're either rich or you're poor or that sort of thing, but it's not. You can go, like we, for example, were offered lots of different things, and sometimes you have to take certain opportunities to realise that, okay, that's not the right choice. These aren't for me. I want to go this way. But I think more than anything, I was proud, like I said earlier, to be a part of a really powerful kind of reckoning, a revolution of, speaking truth to power, and recalibrating the dial of seeing survivor voices sort of take over perpetrator voices. There's still a lot of work to be done. It takes time, and I'm loath to use cliches, but it's like one of my favourites is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, totally.
You need to not bite off more than you can chew. And need to realise that it's a push-pull process as well. In that sense, yes, it has been incredibly rewarding, and I sort of do, as jaded as I am and as dark as my humour is, as you realise from reading the book, I do take a positive outlook.
It's dark, but it's still funny.
Well, I'm glad that you think it's funny. Humour is subjective, and you're not going to be able to make everyone laugh. It's like, you can't please everyone, but certainly,
I think it's really admirable, Grace, for what it's worth, that you sort of stuck yourself out there to the extent that you did in the maelstrom of media commentary and social media commentary and likes and dislikes and everything else. And as the father of a young, confident 19-year-old girl who, likes to speak her mind, I think it's excellent that you've been out there chucking a few haymakers and stirring things up, because we need people like you. And you're going to be here tonight in Adelaide in conversation with my old uni mate, in fact, Joe Dyer, who recently ran for Boothby, another commendable troublemaker. But Grace, it's been lovely chatting to you. The book is The Ninth Life of a Diamond Miner. If anybody wants to try to get along tonight, you can get more information about the book and also the tour at gracetame.com.au/book tour. But for now, Grace, thank you so much for joining us on 5AA.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dave, and say hello to your daughter for me. Thank you so much.
Will do. Thank you, Grace.
12 minutes to 9. It's time to check traffic. Secure the last two-bedroom penthouse in Adelaide's most sought-after address. Visit 88o'Connell.com.
At Wingfield, got a smash on Grand Junction Road near Hanson Road. At Elizabeth Grove, got a two-car smash, Main North Road at Fairfield Road. At Highgate, urgent civil works, Fullerton Road near Fisher Streets. And Fulham Gardens, got a burst water main there. It's Tapley's Hill Road near Valletta Road. Speeds out of 40, got a left-hand lane closed. Look out for cameras. You'll find one today, South Terrace in the city and Hub Drive at Aberfoyle Park. Or you'll see coffee on the OTR ramp and enjoy a freshly ground barista-made coffee. It's as easy as click and collect. OTR. Making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hey Strikers fans, Jason Gillespie here. Forget footy season, it's time for SA to turn blue and get behind your mighty Adelaide Strikers. That's right, tickets to all WBBL and BBL matches are now on sale. And to welcome back the best fans in the league, we're excited to offer early bird pricing for a limited time across all matches. Don't delay, visit adelaidestrikers.com.au today for links to purchase, and we can't wait to see you back in blue this summer.
You know what? When I worked at Mitzi's back in the day, I was considered the fourth diamond. Funny that was true. What is true, though, is the opening of the new Mitsubishi showroom at Wayville. It's been a while in the making, but I tell you what, it is totally worth it. You won't see or experience anything like it in SA. It is groundbreaking. So if you're buying a Mitsubishi or you're getting your car serviced, please head to Wayville Mitsubishi. It's now open opposite the showground, driven by Australian Motors.
Barry White and his team from Gomersaw Wines, they know how to make a great drop. I tell you what, we only have to say Gomersaw. We had 5 calls on the line within about 13/10 of a second.
Nanoseconds.
Before 8:30. They know how to make a spring delight, so they're offering 5AA listeners a generous deal, more than generous, 40% off.
That's right, 40% off store-wide, excluding Vingeance Spirits. Incredible stuff. It's the perfect excuse to stock up for spring and for the festive season. I must admit, this is one promotion that I've thrown myself into with a huge degree of enthusiasm. They've got a wine to complement just about any dish. The Riesling would be lovely with some seafood, and the Cab Sav would be phenomenal with a topside roast or maybe a platter of small goods, Will.
Delicious. Get online and get inspired. This fantastic deal. It's exclusive to 5AA listeners. So if you've got friends who don't listen, don't tell them. Just head to the Gomersaw website, enter the code.
Tell them to listen.
Well, that would be even better.
Get with the program.
Or get new friends. Enter the code FIVEAA40, FIVEAA40 at the checkout, and you'll receive a massive 40% off store-wide, excluding gin.
We love Gomersaw Wine. Take advantage of this amazing offer just in time for spring. Visit gomersawwines.com.au for this special 5AA offer and use the code 5AA40. That's 5AA40.
Out with the old ways of doing things.
Out with wondering if we locked our place securely.
Out with worrying about the garden.
Out with feeling old.
And in with living fully and not growing old so gracefully.
Long live us!
Discover the retirement you deserve. Book a Long Live Me experience happening this October across our 4 South Australian villages. Call 1800 550 550 or search Long Live Me today. Lend-Lease Retirement Living. Your place to live well. Kate Collins and Brendan Raglas, the faces you know and the team you can trust. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Eight to 9, behind closed doors is coming up in just a moment. We've got some Fuel Watch information for you as well. Find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free MyRAA app from your app store today. The Ex-Convenience Port Road Hindmarsh, $1.69.5. First time we've been in the $1.60s for a little bit. The Ex-Convenience Edmund Avenue only, $1.69.9. The OTR Northeast Road Hillcrest, $1.69.9. The cheapest diesel, still expensive though, the United South Road Melrose Park is $1.99.5. So,
jeez.
That's still up there. But we haven't seen the dramatic escalation of petrol prices that we feared we might to this point at very
Since
least.
the excise came back on.
Yeah, the full power of the excise. So
$1.65 is in the run of things recently relatively cheap.
All right, it's time to go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Andrew Brymer.
And welcome back to the program. Andrew Brymer with you right through until midnight. My number is 8223 and my SMS number 0448 3095. And here's an SMS from Jim who says, "Hello, Andrew. Love your show." Thank you very much for that, Jim. Thank you very much indeed. He says, "I don't live in Glenelg, Andrew, so I can't vote for you in the council elections." Okay, well that's okay. Thank you for your SMS, Jim. I don't want to turn this into an election campaign. Now, some breaking news. There's a car on fire in Wollonga. So just be aware of that in case you want to go and take some photographs. Open line talk back until midnight on 8223888. Let's talk to Maury. How are you, Maury?
Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Maury.
The way I see it, there are far too many morons in the world.
Yep.
They're everywhere, man.
Yep, that's true. So, if you want to be part of the conversation, be interactive and get on the phone. An email from Sally. She says, "Hi Andrew, love your show. You're so articulate." Thank you very much for that, Sally. And she says, "I hope you do well in the council elections. You'll make a very good Glenelg mayor." No, I'm not running for mayor, Sally. Just as a councillor, not as mayor. But thank you for that anyway. But as I said, we certainly don't want to turn this into an election campaign.
I didn't know that. Is he running for council?
Running for council, most certainly is. Council's been in the news, the City Council again, in the last 24 hours when it comes to the Women's and Children's Hospital, but they received a powerful endorsement from Professor Warren Jones, who I think, to be fair to say, hasn't historically always been a fan and a friend of governments developing the Women's and Children's or the running of it.
Well, he's also a heritage advocate too.
He's come on board and said, what people don't understand is there is no other place for the hospital. The other sites are all either unworkable or financially unviable. And as I say, this is not someone who's historically been a friend or booster for the government or indeed the Women's and Children's Hospital development. He says no one is going to agree on this. This is from the Tiser this morning. There does come a time when you have to make up your own mind whether you want a safe hospital for women and children or whether you want to stuff it down Port Road somewhere. I'm not sure. The only people on the side of there is no one involved in healthcare who thinks this is a bad idea, and that feels significant to me.
It does, and look, with the total respect to Sandy Verschure and Rex Patrick, but I'm more inclined to listen to health experts about where a hospital should go than people who used to work in the arts or as submariners. Like, don't you think the people who actually have, to use a legal term, standing in this debate are the people who are actually involved in the delivery of health services to sick children and their mothers?
They're not doing this for fun.
No. And I'm sure if there was another site where it could go that could sidestep all of these dramas, they would have already found it.
Yeah.
But there isn't.
I
looking at the letters pages of today's Advertiser as well, like it's bang, bang, bang. All these letters in a row talking about what a disgrace this whole thing is. I don't think those letters are indicative of the public mood.
No.
They're indicative of the fact that the people who are upset about this are organised. You know, I'm not dismissive of the concerns of people on any of these projects, be it, the locals who've got every right to ask questions about things like the Crows development, or people who do have an unabiding commitment to heritage issues. But at the end of the day, a project like this that has been put off and put off and put off, when you've actually got the dispassionate medical experts, but particularly someone like Professor Jones, who's actually got one foot in the heritage camp, going, well, there's not really any alternative here. But, Adelaide being Adelaide, we could probably spend the next year talking about this.
2.5 minutes to 9, which means we're just a couple
of minutes. I love Adelaide.
Love it. Love it. But that's sometimes you need just to get a bit of honest feedback to the things you love.
Yeah.
Leon Biner's coming up for some honest feedback after 9 o'clock. Give him a call on 8223 0000. 5AA News on the way, and we'll be back tomorrow morning from 6.
When you switch to Aldi, you'll save more on everyday items like bakery products. And then you can spend more on other stuff like baking yourself